cultivation world, I begin by getting struck by lightning. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 1051. Come on, I will kill as many as you want. Su Fan broke through the 7th level of Heavenly Demon Sacred Body Art, and his physical strength increased several times. Not only that, Su Fan's soul strength also increased several times, which is simply a cheat for a cultivator in the transformation realm. After reaching the transformation realm, it is extremely difficult for a cultivator's soul to grow even a little bit. Of course, the process of breaking through is still very dangerous as before. The netherworld filthy earth is too corrosive. He just jumped in for a while, and there was nothing left of his flesh and blood, and even his bones later melted. Fortunately, there is always a way out, and he finally survived. Before his physical body was completely destroyed, he completed the breakthrough of the 7th level of Heavenly Demon Sacred Body Art with great difficulty. In fact, the substantial growth of the physical body and soul is only superficial. Su Fan feels that this breakthrough has brought him many deep benefits, but he has not felt it yet, and can only experience it slowly in the future. At this moment, he is trudging towards the direction of Heavenly Netherworld Pass, taking one deep step and one shallow step. When she came here, she had the 9 Yin Sky Shuttle, which saved her a lot of time, but when she went back, she had no choice but to walk. Suddenly, Su Fan felt his scalp tingling, and sensed a sense of inexplicable crisis. He closed his eyes and silently sensed the situation around him. After a while, he finally sensed a rhythm from the ground. Found you. Su Fan's eyes condensed, and the muddy rotten soil under his feet instantly seemed to boil, and then quickly spread in all directions with him as the center. Now he only needs a thought to mobilize the netherworld filthy soil in his body. In the blink of an eye, the land within a few miles has been turned into netherworld filthy soil. Boom, there was a loud noise, and a huge figure rushed up from the ground. This was a monster that looked like an octopus, waving countless tentacles crazily. On the face of this netherworld creature stood a huge black single eye, which looked like a bulging abscess. Before Su Fan arrived at the netherworld, he had studied netherworld creatures for a long time. He recognized the other party's footsteps at a glance. According to the information, this netherworld creature was called One-Eyed Millipede. This 8th level, One-Eyed Millipede had not completely rushed out of the ground with its huge body, and it fell from the air again. Ouch! The huge One-Eyed Millipede let out a shrill wail and struggled frantically, but was soon swallowed by the swarming netherworld filth. Su Fan's thoughts came up, and the ground, which was originally boiling like a pot, calmed down. Most of the body of the One-Eyed Millipede had disappeared, leaving only a few long tentacles. A few long tentacles were sent to him by a group of netherworld filth, condensed into a big hand. Su Fan looked at these tentacles, then put them into the portable secret realm, and sent a thought to Sister Zhen, asking her to see if these tentacles could be eaten. In his previous life, he liked to eat grilled octopus claws the most, and he didn't know what the tentacles of this netherworld creature would taste like. Just when Su Fan was thinking about whether to grill or fry them, the jade talisman of Ruai Pavilion on his waist vibrated slightly. He flashed into the portable secret realm and saw Sister Zhen and Li Chongxiu standing there studying several tentacles. Seeing Su Fan coming in, Sister Zhen floated over excitedly. Master, what is this? This is the tentacle of an 8th level netherworld creature's One-Eyed Millipede. Study it and see if you can make a whole dish for me to go with the wine. Hearing that it was the tentacle of an 8th level netherworld creature, Sister Zhen immediately became excited. Master, just watch. Seeing Sister Zhen float away excitedly, Su Fan smiled. He came to the pond next to the thatched cottage, sat down cross-legged, and then took off the jade slip of Ruai Pavilion from his waist. He found that Qin Yu, this guy, actually sent several messages in one breath. Devours, I just received news that several top leaders of the celestial race have reached an agreement with the high-level leaders of Mangushan to allow the celestial race to enter Mangushan to hunt you down. However, the old monsters of the celestial race in the fusion realm were refused entry and are not allowed to enter Mangushan to participate in hunting you down. Because Mangushan is a plane controlled by the demon sect, there are no celestial race members here, and the demon sect monks have always been very repulsive to the celestial race. After reading several messages sent by Qin Yu, Su Fan had a general understanding of the current situation. As he expected, The celestial race now knew that he had come to Mangushan. Although the top leaders of the celestial race reached an agreement with the high-level leaders of Mangushan, they refused to allow the celestial race's fusion realm leaders to enter. And according to the information provided by Qin Yu, many demon sects in Mangushan seemed to ignore the celestial race and even repulse them. In this case, Su Fan decided not to leave. He planned to place the battlefield in the netherworld. He had two powerful weapons, the netherworld yin fire and the netherworld dirty earth, which made the netherworld fierce land his home. Su Fan had just arrived in the medium world when he was hunted down by the celestials. He had been holding back a lot of anger in his heart. Now it was just the right opportunity to take a good breath of anger. Come on, I will kill as many as you want. This time, I will try to kill the celestials so that they will feel heartbroken when they think of him in the future. Thinking of this, Su Fan sent a message to Qin Yu. Thank you for your hard work. If you have any information about the celestials, please contact me immediately. Don't worry, fellow Taoist, I have been paying attention to the information about the celestials recently. I will contact you as soon as there is new information. Su Fan chatted with Qin Yu for a few more words, and then put away the Jade Talisman of Ruai Pavilion. Because there is no celestial in Barbarian Bone Heaven, it will take at least several months for them to come here from various medium worlds. So Su Fan planned to take advantage of this time to make as much preparation as possible and set up some preset battlefields. Originally, the cultivators in the middle world were full of discrimination against people like him who came from the small world. And those narcissistic Shinran cultivators were even more dismissive of him. So those Shinran cultivators from the middle world would definitely underestimate him when facing him. This gave him the opportunity to launch a sneak attack and try to kill them by surprise. Since coming to the middle world, Su Fan has fallen into a passive position and was forced into a very embarrassing situation by them. Now he has finally broken through the 7th level of the Heavenly Demon Saint body art, and his strength has once again improved significantly. As long as the Shinran cultivators are introduced to the battlefield he preset, even the Shinran cultivators in the refining void realm will not be able to get away with it. Last night, Lao Bu got drunk and fell asleep while typing, and then his wife dared to go to bed. Today, Lao Bu will update an extra 1,000 words. Chapter 1052. At this time, Su Fan no longer cares about this. In the afternoon, Su Fan strolled leisurely on the streets of Xianyao Pass. He had been back for a few days, and he had a purpose for strolling on the streets today. He wanted to see if there were any shops selling 9 yin flying shuttles in the city. There was no other way. In a place like the Netherworld, it would be too difficult without a means of transportation. It took Su Fan several months to return from the ruins of the secret demon sect. You know what? There are really shops selling this kind of thing in Xianyao Pass, and there are quite a few models. The largest one is more than 10 feet long, with 3 cabins, and can carry hundreds of people at a time. Su Fan took a fancy to a small 9 yin flying shuttle, which is only more than 2 feet long, but has an extremely fast speed. Of course, the 9 yin flying shuttle is still a new thing in the Netherworld, so the price is really expensive. Especially the one he chose, which is the GTI and the 9 yin flying shuttle, and the price is several times more expensive than the ordinary one. But at this time, Su Fan didn't care about this. He also wanted to make some arrangements in advance before the celestial cultivators came to Mangutian. He didn't hesitate and bought a 9 yin flying shuttle without even paying the price. Su Fan put the 9 yin flying shuttle into his ring and left Yanyuguan. When he arrived outside the city, he summoned Yaksha and asked him to drive the 9 yu flying shuttle and left Yanyuguan with a roar. In the next month or so, celestial cultivators from all over the world came to Fairy City in Mangutian together. The first batch of celestial cultivators who came from various worlds were all celestial cultivators from several worlds near Yuanmoji. There were more than 1,000 people in this batch, including more than 100 old monsters in the refining void realm. Everyone elected a half-step fusion old monster named Jiang Li as the leader to organize everyone to hunt down Su Fan. At this moment, in a luxurious courtyard in the city, Jiang Li sat cross-legged at the top, and more than a dozen old monsters in the refining void realm sat on both sides of him. Everyone, how long will it take for the following fellows to arrive at Mangushan? After hearing his words, an old monster of the refining void realm of the celestial race next to him spoke up. I just contacted Duke Huan, and the fellows from the following worlds will arrive at Mangushan in a few months. Jiang Li nodded and said, even if we can't find that kid, We have to find his trace before the fellows from other worlds arrive." After hearing his words, several old monsters of the refining void realm in the room spoke up. Mr. Zhang, he is just a cultivator from the transformation realm from a small world. If we can't kill him with so many people, then we'll just run into him and die. Yes, we have more than 100 fellows in the refining void realm, and we can't kill a small cultivator from the transformation realm. I think we can definitely kill that kid before the fellows from other worlds arrive. Listening to the discussions of the fellows in the room, Zhang Li didn't know what to say. All the tribesmen who participated in the hunt for Su Fan this time held this idea, thinking that the kid was not worth mentioning. Originally, the cultivators of the middle world looked down on those from the small world. Not to mention the narcissistic celestial race. But Zhang Li didn't think so. He had studied Su Fan's information and felt that this kid was definitely not easy to deal with. He was able to sacrifice more than 10 million of his own people alone, including a large number of old monsters in the refining void realm, which showed that this kid must be very powerful. Although these fellows from the small world came from the small world, their strength was much worse than theirs, but that could also reveal many problems. This kid was very cruel and cunning. Those fellows from the small world had been chasing him for so many years, but they couldn't find his trace. It can only be said that the kid was very good at hiding his breath. At this time, a celestial race cultivator in the transformation realm hurriedly walked in from outside. Report to Mr. Zhang, the location of the kid has been calculated. He is in the netherworld. After hearing what the tribe member said, Zhang Li frowned immediately. Of course, he had heard of the netherworld fierce land. The environment there was extremely bad, and it was a place without spirits, which was extremely unfavorable to them, the celestial cultivators. But the fellows in the room did not share his concerns. Mr. Zhang, since we have found the trace of that kid, let's set off immediately. Yes, go and kill that kid as soon as possible, and then we will come back here and wait for a fellows from other worlds to come. I have wanted to go to the netherworld fierce land for a long time, but I have never had the time. I just took this opportunity to go there for a stroll. Facing the mentality of many fellows in the room who underestimated the enemy, Zhang Li really didn't know what to say. After all, it was not only them who held this view, but the vast majority of fellows also thought so. They did not take the cultivators from this small world seriously at all. In the eyes of these people, as long as they found where the kid was hiding, they could easily kill him. In fact, Zhang Li also thought so. He was worried about Su Fan's ability to conceal his breath and was afraid that he would not be able to find his trace. Even though he was relatively calm among his fellows, he still did not think that Su Fan could pose any threat to them. After all, some stereotypes are hard to reverse. Seeing that many of the same race in the room were excited, Zhang Li didn't want to spoil everyone's interest. Although he was elected as the leader of all the same race, he knew in his heart that he was just older, and these same races from various worlds might not really take him seriously. Thinking of this, Zhang Li smiled bitterly to himself. Notify the same race in the city. Everyone will gather in the teleportation hall after tomorrow morning. After hearing his words, all the same races in the room responded in unison. Because the environment of the netherworld is too bad, the Shinran monks also purchased a lot of various materials in the city. The next morning, more than 1,000 Shinran monks all came to the teleportation hall in the city early. They took the teleportation formation and rushed to the Kingming Fairy city closest to the netherworld. Zhang Li organized people to hire a lot of local guides in the city, and purchased a large number of various materials needed for the netherworld. The Celestial Clan monks are relatively wealthy and have great financial resources. They have purchased dozens of 9-yin flying shuttles of various types. After purchasing various supplies, Zhang Li and others rested in the Kingming Fairy city for a day. Before dawn the next day, they left on a flying boat. The Mangutian demon sect has built many town bases on the edge of the netherworld. When the flying boat that Zhang Li and others were riding landed in a market town on the edge of the netherworld, they looked at the gray area in the distance. The faces of the group of Celestial Clan monks who had originally rushed over excitedly all became solemn. I'm a bit stuck today, I'll write more tomorrow. Chapter 1053. Is it necessary to have so many people? Looking at the gray area in the distance, the faces of these Shinran cultivators became solemn. Although they had learned about the information of the netherworld before coming here, they were still shocked by the harsh environment here when they came here. Moreover, it was a place without spirits. For the Shinran, fighting in such an environment was very passive. Because the Shinran and the high-level demons had reached an agreement, the local demon cultivators received them, and Zhang Li and others were well settled. But the demon cultivators here had a very ordinary attitude towards them. Although the cultivators of the immortals and demons disliked each other, they were surprisingly consistent in their attitude towards the Shinran. Not only the immortals and demons of the human race, but also the demons, insects and monsters, the Shinran were the same. In fact, the Shinran were not well received in the entire world of cultivation. So when they came to the market here, they immediately attracted the attention of many demon cultivators. Because these Shinran cultivators with different personalities were all walking together, they also caused a sensation in the market. "Brother, why did these guys come to our place?" I just asked Master, and I heard that they were hunting down an evil cultivator from a small world, hunting down an evil cultivator. Then what kind of cultivation level is that person they are hunting down? I heard that he is an evil cultivator in the God transformation realm? No way. Is it necessary to have so many people to hunt down an evil cultivator in the God transformation realm? That's right, this is a big scene. There are more than 100 old monsters in the refining void realm alone. I asked the brothers in the sect, and it is said that the evil cultivator they are hunting down has sacrificed more than 10 million Shinran cultivators. What the hell? Sacrificed more than 10 million Shinran people alive? Why haven't I heard of this? It's so satisfying. The many demonic cultivators who were watching were not so polite to these Shinran cultivators. Not only did they comment on them with laughter, but they also pointed at these Shinran cultivators, just like watching monkeys in a zoo. Facing the many demon cultivators pointing at them on both sides of the street, Zhang Li and others looked unhappy. But they didn't dare to get angry in someone else's territory. Zhang Li and others were placed in a luxurious courtyard. He and more than 10 Liaxu realm cultivators in the clan sat cross-legged in the hall of a monastery. You see, the netherworld is indeed well deserved. It is hard to catch that kid in such a harsh environment. After hearing what Zhang Li said, a fellow tribe member next to him laughed. Mr. Zhang, you are wrong. Although the environment of the netherworld is bad, there are more than 1,000 people here this time. No matter how cunning that kid is, he can't escape our pursuit. Yes, Mr. Zhang, you are taking that kid too seriously. We have more than 100 people in the refining void realm and nearly 1,000 people in the transformation god realm. So many people can't catch him, more than 1,000 people in the same clan. If we can't take down the guy from the small world, we might as well just run into him and die. Seeing the excitement of many people in the same clan in the room, Zhang Li sighed secretly. At this time, of course, he couldn't say anything else. He could only follow everyone's wishes and arrange the next matter of hunting down Su Fan. According to Zhang Li's intention, he planned to form several teams of people in the clan, and then surround Su Fan's hiding place to besiege him. But it was immediately opposed by everyone. Finally, they discussed for a while and decided to form more than 100 groups to surround him from all sides. Zhang Li did not agree with this plan at first, because the number of people in each team was too small, and he was afraid that Su Fan would break out from the weak link. But the fellows in the room did not take Su Fan seriously at all. In their opinion, each group was equipped with a cultivator in the refining void realm, and the kid simply could not fly away. In the end, Zhang Li could only follow everyone's ideas and agreed to this plan. For this reason, they bought dozens of small 9-yin flying shuttles in this market. The next morning, all the cultivators of the celestial race gathered at the gate of the market, and Zhang Li and many cultivators of the refining void realm of the same race stood in front of them. Let's go now. With Zhang Li's shout, a group of more than 100 celestial race cultivators drove the 9-yin flying shuttle and roared towards the gray area in the distance. At this moment, more than 109 yin flying shuttles entered the netherworld and the scene was extremely spectacular. A large number of demonic cultivators in the market also gathered in front of the market gate at this time, watching the backs of the celestial cultivators whizzing away in the distance. These guys are so showy. Do they need to be so ostentatious when hunting down an evil cultivator from a small world? Isn't the celestial race always like this? They have to make a big fuss about a trivial matter. That kid is miserable. He is being hunted down by so many celestials. I guess he won't live for a few days, then he can't live for a fart. There are more than 100 old monsters in the refining void realm, and more than 1,000 cultivators in the transformation realm. Even the big guys who are half-step into the fusion may not be able to withstand it. In fact, not only those celestial cultivators, but also many cultivators in the market think that Su Fan will definitely die. After all, In the hearts of these cultivators in the middle world, people like Su Fan who come from a small world will not be taken seriously at all. It's no wonder that they have such a stereotype. The strength of the cultivators in the small world before was indeed quite different from theirs. Take Jiaxu realm for example. There was a precedent of being killed by a cultivator from a medium world. So it is reasonable for a cultivator from a medium world to look down on people from a small world. But Su Fan is different. How could they know that this guy is a cheater? More than 100 teams composed of more than 1,000 Celestial Clan cultivators drove the 9 Yin flying shuttle across the muddy rotten soil at high speed. Mr. Zhang, we have already calculated the exact location of that kid. After entering the depths of the netherworld, Zhang Li received a message from several divination cultivators in the clan. Attention, all teams, follow the original plan. After hearing Zhang Li's order, more than 100 teams began to disperse in all directions and whistled towards the place where Su Fan was hiding. Although the Celestial Clan cultivators had already calculated Su Fan's hiding place, it was just a blood and key sample he arranged. At this moment, Su Fan was standing on a bare mountain, looking at the gray space in the distance. He asked Yaksha to deploy a lot of ghost soldiers and ghost generals around, and once they found the traces of the celestial cultivators, they would immediately report to him. The ghost crow turned on the stealth mode, circling in the dark sky, constantly reporting the surrounding situation to Su Fan. Chapter 1054 This is too fragile. Su Fan sat cross-legged beside the pond in his personal secret realm, drinking spiritual tea leisurely. The ghost soldiers and generals deployed on the periphery in the past few days have reported back the situation of the celestial race. Even he did not expect that more than 1,000 celestial race cultivators would form more than 100 teams and surround a location of the blood samples from all directions. How much must the celestial race despise him that they dared to divide their forces like this? Aren't they afraid that he would defeat them one by one? How could Su Fan know that the celestial race did not take his small world seriously at all? He was still scratching his head these days. After all, so many people from the celestial race came at once, including more than 100 cultivators in the refining void realm. If it was the Jiaxu realm, he certainly wouldn't care, but the strength of the cultivators in the middle world was much stronger than that of the small world. In fact, Su Fan didn't know much about the cultivators in the middle world, he just heard about it from the Luo family's ancestor. Out of the principle of predicting the enemy's leniency, he was so cautious. Although Su Fan had already broken through the 7th level of the heavenly demon saint body art and his strength was far superior to what it was before, he still did not dare to be careless. At this time, a thought from Yaksha came to Su Fan's mind. Master, the ghost soldiers in front just sent a message that several teams of the Celestial Clan have arrived at the target area. Well, I know, Su Fan replied to Yaksha with a message, and then stood up from the recliner. At this time, Sister Zhen floated over from a distance. Master, you are going out. Lunch will be ready soon. You can have a bite. Wait until I come back. Su Fan left the portable secret realm after saying that, and he came to a valley outside. Yaksha saw him coming out and hurried over to pay homage. Yaksha pays homage to my master. Su Fan nodded, and then took out a miniature array plate from the ring. He input spiritual energy, and immediately activated a light curtain, and saw many light spots marked on it. These light spots are the ghost soldiers and ghost generals arranged by Yaksha. He glanced at the positions of the ghost soldiers who had just sent back the news. Yaksha came over quickly, pointing at the light spots on the light curtain and introducing the situation on the battlefield to him. The Celestial Clan monks were in a fan-shaped formation, rushing towards the blood sample he had arranged. Among them, several teams of Celestial Clan monks would pass by not far from him. Su Fan lifted the light curtain and put away the microarray disc, then took out the 9 Yin flying shuttle GTI from the ring, and let Yaksha drive it away. At this moment, a team of Celestial Clan was driving a 9 other flying shuttle at high speed on the muddy rotten soil. A cultivator of the refining void realm sat cross-legged on the shuttle. Although he closed his eyes, he was always using his spiritual sense to scan the surroundings. Suddenly, his scalp numbed and he felt a sense of crisis. He quickly stood up from the shuttle, released all his spiritual senses, and kept scanning the surroundings, but he did not find any movement. Could it be that he sensed it wrongly? He had also participated in countless battles and fierce battles, so he was quite sensitive to crises. At this moment, a wave of earth suddenly surged in front of the shuttle, which was speeding on the muddy and rotten soil. This sudden wave of earth was just a wave of vibration on the ground at first, but in a flash, it turned into a tsunami-like surging earth wave several feet high. Be careful, turn around immediately. Although the cultivator in the void refining realm shouted, the speed of this wave of earth was too fast. Moreover, the shuttle, which was speeding, could not turn around for a while, and could only let the earth wave, which was like a tidal wave, roaring towards it. Just when the shuttle was about to be swallowed by the several-foot-high earth wave, a golden light flashed, and a golden shield enveloped the flying boat. Boom! The horrible earth wave roared and swallowed the shuttle. Fortunately, the old monster in the void refining realm activated a protective J talisman, which protected the shuttle. Unfortunately, the golden light shield covering the shuttle only lasted for a few breaths before it exploded. More than a dozen Celestial Clan monks on the shuttle were instantly swept away by the earth wave, and their bodies were torn apart in a blink of an eye, and finally even their bones were turned into dust. Even the refining void realm monk in the team was swept into the surging earth wave. Although he used all his skills, after a while, his body was torn into pieces and turned into dust like the other members of the team. Swoosh! A black shadow rushed out of the body of the refining void realm monk, but before his yin shen could escape from this place, he was swallowed by the earth wave behind him. The yin shen struggled in the netherworld filthy earth for a while, and then was worn out and corroded to the point of being shattered. At this time, a figure fell from the sky. He looked at the pieces of flesh and bones in the black rotten earth, and a trace of surprise appeared on his face. That's it. The immortal cultivator of the void refining realm, facing the attack of the netherworld, only lasted a few breaths before he died. Are all the immortal cultivators in the middle world so weak? This is too weak. Su Fan didn't know that the netherworld was not an ordinary thing. Even the immortal cultivators in the middle world would have to kneel when they encountered it. He cleaned up the battlefield. The corpses of the immortal cultivators of this team could not be used. But their rings still had to be taken away. The immortal cultivators were all wealthy, so this couldn't be wasted. After cleaning up the battlefield, Su Fan drove the 9-yin flying shuttle away with a roar. At this moment, Zhang Li was standing on the shuttle, constantly contacting each team. Because there were too many teams, some teams did not respond to the message and did not attract his attention. It was not until the night when they camped that Zhang Li felt something was wrong. Because throughout the day, more than a dozen teams had not responded to his message. Zhang Li kept sending messages to the dozen teams, but he never got a reply. He knew something was wrong. He didn't think that these teams were attacked by Su Fan, but thought that they were attacked by netherworld creatures. Seeing that he couldn't contact those teams, Zhang Li had to ask the nearby teams to go over and take a look. As a result, after Zhang Li spent a night, the teams that went to check also lost contact. And no matter how he contacted them, they didn't reply. He immediately realized the seriousness of the problem and quickly issued orders to all the teams to stop temporarily and gather at the locations of the teams that had problems. After all the Shinran teams gathered, Zhang Li was stunned. There were more than 20 teams missing who came together, and no matter how they contacted, they didn't get a reply from those teams. At this time, not only Zhang Li, but also other teams were scared. No one expected that they had just entered the netherworld and lost more than 20% of their fellow tribesmen. They didn't think that these teams were attacked by Su Fan, but thought that there was a high-level netherworld creature hidden nearby. After all, the netherworld is full of various netherworld creatures, and many of them are high-level. They usually hide underground and wait for an opportunity to attack. Every year, many demon monks who go to the netherworld to explore the netherworld die in the sneak attacks of these high-level netherworld creatures. So Zhang Li and others guessed that there was a high-level netherworld creature hidden underground nearby. Let's do this. It's definitely not okay to be scattered like this. Let's gather together. If we encounter a crisis, we can take care of each other. Zhang Li put forward his own opinion, but it was immediately rejected by other old monsters of the same race in the refining void realm. Although he insisted again and again, he finally obeyed the wishes of the majority. In the end, nearly 1,000 Shinran monks formed 3 teams, led by dozens of fellow cultivators in the refining void realm, and surrounded and killed Su Fan from 3 directions. Next, the 3 teams dispersed and continued to roar towards Su Fan's location. Zhang Li contacted the other 2 teams every once in a while to ensure the situation of each team. But the next morning, one team could not be contacted. Zhang Li felt something was wrong, and he gave the other team an order to assemble without thinking. After the two teams met, they went to find the lost team. As a result, they saw a scene that frightened everyone in one place. They saw blood, flesh and bones all over the rotten soil on the ground. From the analysis of the situation at the scene, it was obvious that the team was ambushed while camping. The members of this team have been wiped out, and even the more than 20 cultivators in the team's refining void realm did not escape this disaster. Seeing such a miserable scene, many Shinran cultivators began to have the idea of retreating. They came to kill the little devil, not to die. Mr. Zhang, let's go back and wait for our fellows from other worlds to arrive before making plans. Yes, anyway, this kid is trapped in the netherworld and can't escape. We are obviously being targeted by a high-level netherworld creature. If we don't go back, none of us can escape its clutches. Mr. Zhang, it won't be too late for us to come back after our fellows from other worlds arrive. It's better than dying here. Hearing the words of many fellows, Zhang Li sighed secretly. It seems that they must have returned empty-handed this time. Now everyone has been scared out of their wits, and it is unlikely that everyone will continue to go deeper. It's better to go back and make plans after the fellows from various worlds arrive. Thinking of this, Zhang Li said loudly, since everyone means this, let's go back. Everyone must be careful on the way back, and can't. Before Zhang Li finished speaking, a cultivator of the refining void realm of the celestial race turned his head suddenly. Did you hear it? There is a sound in the distance. Chapter 1055 I am Su Fan. Aren't you looking for me? Hearing the words of the old monster in the refining void realm, all the celestial clan cultivators around pricked up their ears and listened carefully. I heard it. There seems to be a sound. I heard it too. The sound is getting closer. Underground. The sound is coming from underground. At this time, Zhang Li also heard the sound from underground. Although it was still far away from here, the sound was approaching here rapidly. Everyone be careful. Form a defensive formation. Hearing Zhang Li's shout, hundreds of celestial clan cultivators started to move. At this moment, Zhang Li and others thought that it was the netherworld creature that came to attack, and they didn't think of Su Fan at all. Boom! At this time, with a dull loud noise, a huge earth wave was raised in all directions. The earth wave was like a tidal wave, as if it was filled with the mysterious power of Tao and Fa, overturning the entire world like a tide, rolling and covering the front. Facing the several Shanghai earth waves swarming from all directions, Zhang Li and others were immediately confused. What was going on? Wasn't it just one netherworld creature, but several creatures that attacked them together? At this time, the several Shanghai earth waves were already roaring. Boom! Boom! Zhang Li and several other old monsters in the refining void realm activated the protective J talisman almost at the same time, propping up several golden shields, completely covering hundreds of celestial clan monks. Unfortunately, the several golden shields only lasted for a few breaths before they were shattered. Not good. Everyone retreat. Zhang Li and a group of old monsters in the refining void realm instantly saw that this surging earth wave was not simple, and they all shouted loudly. But it was too late. Many celestial clan monks in the transformation spirit realm were instantly swallowed up by the surging earth waves. In the blink of an eye, hundreds of transformation spirit realm monks had been corroded to pieces by the netherworld filthy earth. Among them, there were also dozens of old monsters in the refining void realm, who were not spared. Although they all used their best life-saving methods, the netherworld seemed to be able to defeat the secrets and magic tools of the celestial race. Therefore, the secrets and magic tools launched by these old monsters in the refining void realm only lasted for a while before being corroded beyond recognition by the netherworld vulnerable realm. Then, they were swept into the terrifying earth wave. As the terrifying earth wave roared past, only a few old monsters in the half-step fusion realm, such as Zhang Li, were left from the hundreds of celestial race cultivators just now. Seeing that hundreds of his fellows had turned into bloody flesh and broken bones all over the ground, Zhang Li's heart was bleeding. Zhang Li glanced at the layer of golden armor on his body, which had also become horrible at this time, and had been corroded beyond recognition by the earth wave. Although the golden armor was destroyed, it was fortunate that it helped him resist the attack of the terrifying earth wave. Mr. Zhang, this is the netherworld dirty earth. Let's go now. The netherworld dirty earth is specifically designed to counter the spells and magic weapons of the tribe. I've heard from the elders in the tribe before that if you encounter this thing, run away immediately. In fact, Zhang Li also guessed that this wave of earth was made of the netherworld dirty earth, which means that these netherworld creatures that attack them are good at controlling the netherworld dirty earth. Let's go, leave here immediately. At this time, he didn't dare to stay here. He hurriedly called on the other surviving tribesmen and drove the 9-yin flying shuttle madly away. But how could Su Fan, who was hiding nearby, let them go? His eyes condensed, and the terrifying earth wave that had just whizzed past was raging again. Boom! With a series of dull noises, the terrifying earth wave several feet higher rose from the ground again, like a surging huge wave, rolling towards Jiang Li and others. Although Jiang Li and his companions were gliding at a high speed in the 9-yin flying shuttle, the speed of the netherworld filthy earth in this muddy and rotten soil environment was incredibly fast. After a while, the several Zhanghai earth waves had already caught up with the flying shuttle of Jiang Li and his companions. Mr. Jiang, you go first, we will help you hold back this netherworld filthy earth. Let's go, Mr. Jiang, we will all die if we stay together. Mr. Jiang, you must take the news out, so that other members of the same clan will not suffer losses when they come. After several members of the same clan in the void refining realm finished speaking, they jumped off the flying shuttle. Jiang Li gritted his teeth and whizzed away in the 9-yin flying shuttle. He did not dare to look back at his members of the same clan, and only wanted to escape desperately. Because he knew that what several members of the same clan said was right, someone had to escape and tell other members of the same clan who came here about what happened today, so that other members of the same clan would not suffer greater losses. Boom! Boom! At this time, there were earth-shattering noises behind him. Jiang Li knew that several of his fellow tribesmen had fought desperately to buy time for him. Jiang Li closed his eyes, feeling as if his heart was being cut by a knife. Shoo! At this time, he saw a shuttle coming diagonally from the side and whizzing past him. The 9-yin shuttle purchased by Su Fan was an enhanced GTI version of the shuttle, with a speed several times that of an ordinary shuttle. Of course, the price was also more than 10 times that of an ordinary shuttle. Su Fan jumped off the shuttle several miles ahead, and then stood there and looked at Jiang Li with a smile. Jiang Li also stopped the shuttle and looked at Su Fan opposite with a serious look. Devours, I don't know why you are blocking my way. After hearing what the other party said, Su Fan raised his head and laughed. I am Su Fan, aren't you looking for me? After hearing what Su Fan said, Jiang Li was stunned. How could this guy appear here? Could it be that he also created the netherworld dirt? If the other party is good at controlling the netherworld dirt, then no matter what the cost, this guy must be killed today, otherwise the next tribesman will be in danger. At this time, there were bursts of dull whistling sounds behind him. Jiang Li turned his head and looked at the surging earth waves behind him rolling towards here. Good opportunity. Seeing that there was still some time before the netherworld dirt rushed over, Jiang Li decided to seize this brief opportunity and kill this kid. Without the threat of the netherworld dirt, he thought he could easily kill this kid. In fact, Su Fan, who was standing opposite, thought so at this time. Since breaking through the 7th level of the Heavenly Demon Saint body art, although he knew that his strength had increased a lot, he still did not have a clear understanding of his own strength. Not only that, he also swallowed a large amount of pure netherworld yin fire not long ago. So Su Fan also wanted to take this opportunity to fight with this half-step fusion realm old monster of the Shinran clan to verify his current strength level. Chapter 1056. This is a bit fun. Before Jiang Li could make a move, Su Fan had already made a move. His figure instantly disappeared from the spot. When he appeared again, he was already in front of Jiang Li. Not good, Jiang Li said to himself. He suddenly remembered that the other party was a physical cultivator. His eyes focused, and golden light shone all over his body. The golden armor that had just been corroded beyond recognition was put on him again. But Su Fan did not punch and kick as he did in the past. Instead, he waved his hand violently. A pale white fire chain, like a poisonous snake that wanted to bite someone, instantly pounced on him and coiled around the golden armor on Jiang Li's body. Hiss, hiss, this is the netherworld yin fire. Jiang Li recognized a pale white fire chain at a glance. This is the most vicious netherworld yin fire. What is the origin of this kid? He can actually control the netherworld filthy earth and the netherworld yin fire at the same time. It is simply incredible. At this moment, Jiang Li was already a little flustered. Facing the pale white fire chain that was still madly wrapping around him, the golden armor on his body had been corroded and mottled. Moreover, pale white flames had already ignited on the golden armor, and the viciousness of the netherworld yin fire was evident. Facing the precarious golden armor, Zhang Li quickly activated his own secret technique. There was a loud explosion in the air, followed by a dazzling flash of light, and a golden blade was instantly formed, slashing at the pale white fire chain. Bang! The pale white fire chain was instantly cut off by the golden blade, but the secret technique also collapsed. The cut-off fire chain was connected again in an instant, and continued to wrap around the golden armor madly. Su Fan sneered, and he opened his arms and raised them up violently. Boom boom, the extremely rich pale white flames rose from Zhang Li's feet and instantly turned into a blazing pale white fire that engulfed him. Zhang Li was immediately furious. He could never have imagined that he, who was at the level of half-step transformation, would be forced into such a mess by a minor cultivator at the level of transformation. There was no other way. The Netherworld Yin Fire and Netherworld Filthy Earth specifically countered the various spells and magic weapons of the celestial race. No matter how capable Zhang Li was, he had to first deal with the circles of Netherworld Yin Fire tied to his body. This thing was too difficult to deal with. It specifically countered the exclusive magic power of the celestial race. The Netherworld Yin Fire and Netherworld Filthy Earth could not only corrode the spiritual power of the human race, but also pose a greater threat to the celestial race. Seeing himself being wrapped in the blazing Netherworld Yin Fire, Zhang Li was immediately anxious. He made up his mind and immediately used his ultimate move, his eyes fixed. Boom! With a loud noise, a golden beam of light instantly fell from the sky and completely enveloped him. At this moment, Zhang Li's eyes had become extremely cold, as if he had completely become another person. Boom! The golden light all over his body suddenly exploded. The blazing Netherworld Yin Fire under his feet was instantly exploded and splashed everywhere, and the pale white flames that wrapped around him disappeared. Su Fan raised his hand, and the rotten oil on the ground beside him instantly boiled. A giant mud hand several feet in size drilled out from the rotten oil on the ground and grabbed Zhang Li fiercely. At this moment, the man who descended on Zhang Li was not aware of the danger at all. How could he know that this mud hand was made of netherworld filthy soil? His eyes condensed, and his whole body suddenly shone with a golden light, turning into golden armor covering his body. Then he waved his hand, and a golden giant blade slashed at the mud hand. Puff! The huge mud hand was instantly chopped into pieces, turning into mud dots all over the sky, splashing all over Zhang Li. Hiss! Hiss! Drops of netherworld filthy soil fell on the golden armor, and once again made a series of creepy hissing sounds. The dense mud spots formed by the netherworld filth soon corroded the golden armor into 1,000 holes. Su Fan, who was hiding nearby, waved his hand gently again. Boom! A pale white chain of fire was generated again, and it pounced on it like a poisonous snake, and in the blink of an eye it was wrapped around the golden armor. Because the golden armor had been corroded by the netherworld filth, the pale white netherworld fire drilled into it through the holes in the armor. Ah! Ah! The possessed Zhang Li screamed loudly, and in a moment he turned into a blazing fireman. Zhang Li died miserably. A half-step fusion realm old monster, before he could make a serious move, encountered a cheater who could control the netherworld fire and the netherworld filth at the same time. Not to mention being attacked by these two things at the same time, ordinary cultivators would be dead if they only encountered one of them. In just a few breaths, Zhang Li's body was burned. Su Fan couldn't help but let out a sigh of relief after taking a look at the debris lying on the ground. After the fight just now, he almost knew the powerful and vicious power of the netherworld yin fire and the netherworld filthy earth. The celestial clan cultivator just now was a big man in the half-step fusion realm. Who would have thought that he would die in a short time under the repeated attacks of the netherworld filthy earth and the netherworld yin fire? Moreover, the netherworld filthy earth and the netherworld yin fire also brought him a huge surprise. That is, these two vicious things are actually specifically designed to defeat the celestial clan, at least they are very threatening. This is a bit interesting. Then how many of these celestial clan cultivators come, how many will die? Thinking of this, Su Fan slapped the gathering yin secret realm on his waist and summoned the Yaksha. Go and detain all the celestial clan ghosts wandering around, and then hand them over to Lao Wang to deal with. As soon as he finished speaking, whoosh, Sister Jin had already rushed out of the portable secret realm. Master, can I clean up the battlefield now? Su Fan covered his face. This girl is really a little money grubber. Although these celestial cultivators were completely corroded by the netherworld filthy earth, their storage rings were likely to be preserved. Go ahead and clean up the battlefield as soon as possible. Seeing Yaksha and Sister Zhen floating away excitedly, Su Fan waved his hand and sucked Jiang Li's stored ring into his hand. Although there must be good stuff in the stored ring of the half-step fusion realm boss. But he was too lazy to look at it. Anyway, Sister Zhen, the little money grubber, helped him sort out the spoils, and she would report to him later. This group of more than 1,000 celestial cultivators should be the first group to rush to the Netherworld Fierce Land. All of them were left in the Netherworld Fierce Land. It is estimated that there will be more celestial cultivators from various worlds rushing to the Netherworld Fierce Land in the future. Now Su Fan has the two big killers, the Netherworld Yin Fire and the Netherworld Filthy Earth. As long as they dare to enter the Netherworld Fierce Land, no one can think of walking out of it. Chapter 1057 Just Become a Real Evil Cultivator. Su Fan left the place only when Yaksha and Sister Zhen came back. The two ghost slaves had been tossing around for more than an hour, and they had gained a lot. Yaksha had detained a large number of ghosts of the celestial race, all of whom were in the transformation realm in the refining void realm. Unfortunately, they were all corroded by the netherworld. Forget about the corpses, almost all of them were corroded by the netherworld. Sister Zhen led a large number of ghost soldiers and ghost generals to dig for gold in the soil, and found a lot of stored rings in the rotten soil covered with blood, flesh and bones. Su Fan asked the two to enter the secret realm first, then took a deep breath and sent a thought to the woman upper realm boss. Senior, the corpses here are quite broken. Can we start a blood sacrifice? As long as they are not scattered within 100 miles, it's fine. After receiving the thought from the woman upper realm boss, Su Fan had a clue in his heart. His eyes condensed, and dense witchcraft divine patterns suddenly appeared all over his body, and a strong bloodlight filled his body. Boom! At this time, with a dull loud noise, a bright red blood column fell from the sky, completely covering Su Fan. Boom! With Su Fan as the center, a terrifying blood storm was instantly rolled up, and then a blood-colored witch formation with a radius of 100 miles was formed. Within a radius of 100 miles, bloodlines like spirit snakes rose up and were quickly swallowed by the terrifying blood-colored storm. The blood-colored storm raged for a quarter of an hour before it gradually subsided. Su Fan opened his eyes and felt countless blood and mana tempered by the witch formation pouring into his body. He opened the game panel and found that his realm had been visibly improved. In the past few years, when he was performing blood sacrifices, he would not swallow blood because he did not want to become an evil cultivator. But now Su Fan no longer cares. Evil cultivators are evil cultivators. Anyway, no matter how he explains to others, in the eyes of those cultivators in the middle world, he is a complete evil demon. They have already firmly labeled him as an evil cultivator. Rather than being slandered as an evil cultivator, I might as well become a real evil cultivator. His current situation is rather embarrassing, and he is being hunted down by the celestial clan of the entire medium world, so the most urgent task is to improve his strength as soon as possible. He wants to take this opportunity to kill all the celestial clan cultivators who have been hunted down to the barbarian bone heaven. Try to break through his realm to the refining void realm in the shortest possible time. As for the Tau Heart and so on, let him do it. Now he may not even be able to save his life, so how can he have time to care about those things? This is not alarmist talk, this is not the original small world. Even if those medium world fusion realm masters know that he has a demon seed, they may not care. Especially those celestial clan cultivators, even if they provoke the demon sect master who left the demon seed, their fellows in the upper world will support him. Although this is just Su Fan's guess, he thinks it is very possible. If the celestials are really pushed into a corner, the celestials in the middle worlds who are in the fusion realm might really kill him. Even if Su Fan is a supernatural being who has not appeared for tens of thousands of years, in the eyes of those fusion realm masters, he is probably not even an ant. They can blow him to pieces with just a breath. Su Fan slapped his waist and summoned Yaksha, and then let him drive the 9 Yin flying shuttle GTI and quickly left the area. He found a cave in a mountain and entered the gathering Yin secret realm. Su Fan came to the valley and sat cross-legged next to the oil lamp magic weapon on the stone platform. The evil Buddha Wangda was interrogating the ghosts of the Celestials, hoping to get some information about the Celestials from these ghosts. Yaksha helped him brew a pot of spiritual tea like a dog, and then poured him a cup. Su Fan picked up the teacup and took a sip, then looked at Yaksha. Your aura is about to break through, right? After hearing what his master said, Yaksha bowed and saluted. I heard from Master Wang that it should be almost there in another 10 or 20 years. Damn, ghost cultivators are so slow in their cultivation. He had felt at Yakshas or it was almost there decades ago. But until today, he still has to wait for another 10 or 20 years. In fact, he was just talking nonsense. In this world of cultivation, Yaksha, as a ghost cultivator, is definitely not slow in cultivation. Especially ghost cultivators, who theoretically have endless lifespans, so ghost cultivators are generally not in a hurry for their own cultivation realm. There is no such a heaven-defying person as him. If he had not wanted to become an evil cultivator before, his realm might have been the middle stage of the refining void realm. Practice with peace of mind. I will prepare the cultivation materials you need for your breakthrough. Yaksha knelt down with a thump after hearing this, and kowtowed hard. Yaksha thanks my master, although this master is a little partial, he has done his best for him. Su Fan waved his hand and sent Yaksha away. In fact, he did not expect these two ghost slaves, as well as the two contracted beasts, Ghost Crow and Zuxu, to help him fight. He only hoped that these ghost slaves and contracted beasts could help him do auxiliary work. Yaksha was about to break through to the Ghost Emperor realm. The next step was to let Sister Zhen switch to the incense path. As for whether this girl could break through in the future, it depended on her own luck. He didn't need to worry about Ghost Crow and Zuxu. Especially Ghost Crow, who knows when his bloodline will awaken again. Zuxu is even more unpredictable. Now this guy is sleeping again, and no one knows how long it will take to wake up this time. Boy, you are cruel enough. You killed more than 1,000 Shinran cultivators again. Just when Su Fan was thinking about it, the voice of the evil Buddha Wanged suddenly came to his ears. He turned his head and saw that the evil Buddha Wanged appeared on the recliner on the lamp holder at some point. Senior, how is it going? Did you get anything? I just interrogated a few ghosts of the celestial race. They are the first group of celestial race to arrive at Mangu Heaven. A large number of our people will arrive at Mangu Heaven in the future. After hearing what the evil Buddha Wanged said, Su Fan suddenly became excited. I just don't know how many people from the celestial race will come this time. Anyway, the more the better. As long as there are no big men from the celestial race who are in the fusion realm, I will kill as many as they come. Do they know when the second group of people will arrive at Mangu Heaven? It seems that the second group of people will arrive in a few months. It's just right that he took advantage of this time to study and figure out how to better control the netherworld yin fire and the netherworld dirty earth. It would be best if he could perfect the celestial saint body art, so that he could have 2 more powerful magical powers. It is estimated that there will only be a few months of time, and time is very tight. However, with his current strength, he can definitely handle some celestial race cultivators below the fusion realm with ease. In the following days, Su Fan found a secluded place in the netherworld, and then entered the portable secret realm to stay comfortably. In the Kishin market on the edge of the netherworld, there are many idle magic monks who are still waiting for news from the celestial beings. But it has been several months, and the celestial beings have not returned to the market. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story, and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 1058. I'm already thirsty. Although those celestial clan monks have not come out of the netherworld for several months, the demonic monks in the Kishin market did not take it too seriously. In their opinion, Su Fan was dead. After all, these more than 1,000 celestial clan monks were all elite members of the celestial clan in various worlds. If so many elite celestial clan monks could not kill an evil cultivator from a small world, they would all die headfirst. It was not until the second batch of celestial clan monks who arrived at Amangushan came to the Kiwai market that some news came out. The life tablets of the more than 1,000 celestial clan monks a few months ago were all broken, indicating that they had all died in the netherworld. When the demonic monks heard the news, the entire Kiwai market exploded. Until this time, no one thought that these celestial clan monks died at the hands of Su Fan. They all thought that they encountered high-level netherworld creatures in the netherworld. This kind of thing is not uncommon in the netherworld. Every year, too many people come to explore the netherworld, and countless demon monks die there, many of whom are killed by high-level netherworld creatures. The high-level netherworld creatures in the netherworld have vast territories, and are very cunning and good at hiding their breath, so no one knows where they are hiding. Moreover, The netherworld creatures will use the corpses and bones in the netherworld to build their own Yinwu army and arrange them in various places in its territory. As long as there is a slight disturbance in his territory, they can't hide it. Although the big bosses of the major demon sects of Mangutan often come to the netherworld to clean up those high-level netherworld creatures from time to time. But the area here is too vast, almost occupying half of Mangutan, so it is difficult to completely wipe out all the high-level netherworld creatures. After learning that more than 1,000 Shinran monks died in the netherworld, not only the Shinran tribe was shocked, but even the major demon sects of Mangutan took it seriously. After all, there were more than 100 old monsters in the refining void realm, and more than 1,000 Shinran clan cultivators in the transformation god realm. They were a force that could not be underestimated no matter where they were. They died silently in the netherworld, which meant that they must have encountered some high-level netherworld creatures. So several super demon clan leaders nearby also came to the Kawaii market. At night, in a luxurious courtyard deep in the market, more than 100 Shinran clan and nearby demon clan leaders in the refining void realm gathered together. A Shinran clan leader sitting at the top exchanged glances with several of his fellow clansmen around him, and then bowed to several demon clan old monsters opposite. Fellow Taoist King Su, this is the location where our clansman disappeared. After he said that, he nodded to fellow clansmen below, who quickly took out a miniature array plate and then activated a transparent light curtain. A position on the light curtain has been marked, indicating the last location of the first batch of Shinran clan who entered the netherworld. Several demon clan old monsters opposite took a look at the position on the light curtain, and then gathered together to mutter. Compared to the Celestials, the nearby demon sect monks were more familiar with the netherworld. They knew where the Celestials disappeared on the light screen. This place was at the edge of the netherworld, and it was almost impossible for high-level netherworld creatures to exist. Those high-level netherworld creatures were very cunning. It was impossible for them to appear in this location, let alone attack more than 1,000 celestial monks. Fellow Taoist King Su, what do you think about this matter? What can I think? The death of these celestial clan cultivators is too strange. I don't think it was done by the netherworld creatures. I feel the same way. Those high-level netherworld creatures are not lacking in mind. If they are causing trouble here, then they are waiting for us to wipe them out. Then what you mean is that these people died at the hands of the evil cultivators in that small world. That's definitely impossible. With so many celestial clan cultivators, even a few of us wouldn't dare to say that we can take them down. How is it impossible? That was a ruthless man who had sacrificed more than 10 million celestial clan cultivators alive. Even though he is only at the spiritualization realm, I always feel that that guy is not simple. Several demon sect bosses muttered for a while, but they didn't come up with any results. King Su Xianzhen thought for a while and said, Fellow Taoist Huan Kong, where is the evil cultivator in that small world you are chasing? Shinran clan's Huan Kong Xianzhen couldn't help but frown when he heard this. From what they said, could it be that they suspected that the death of more than 1,000 of their fellows was related to that little devil? How could this be possible? Although he was dissatisfied, he still patiently asked the tribesmen below to mark the location of Su Fan. King Su Xianzhen and several other demon clan leaders were all stunned when they saw it. They found that the place where the Shinran clan disappeared last was exactly the only way to Su Fan's hiding place. Several demon clan old monsters couldn't help but have a thought in their hearts, wouldn't it really be related to that little devil? But they immediately rejected this idea. There were more than 1,000 elite cultivators of the Shinran clan. No one would believe that they were silently destroyed by an evil cultivator from a small world. King Su Xianzhen thought for a while and said, Fellow Taoist Huan Kong, let's go to the scene first. After hearing his words, Huan Kong and other Shinran clan cultivators certainly had no objection. At night, Su Fan collapsed on a recliner by the pond, drinking spiritual tea comfortably, and Sister Zhen was sticking to him. At this time, Li Shangxi would disappear tactfully, and no one knew where he hid. At this time, the jade talisman of Ruai Pavilion on Su Fan's waist suddenly vibrated slightly. He took off the jade talisman from his waist, and then took a look at the message sent by Qin Yu. Daoao, I just received news that the second group of people from the Celestial clan who are chasing you have arrived at the Kawaii market of Mangutan. After reading the message sent by Qin Yu, Su Fan immediately became alert. They should be here too. But since these guys have already arrived, why don't they go into the netherworld to hunt him down? I have been thirsty for a long time, just waiting for them to come. Then why haven't they entered the netherworld yet? Devours, so many people died at once, and they are all elites of the celestial clan from various medium-sized worlds. If they don't understand the reason, how dare they go and rashly fuck a bunch of cowards. Besides this, is there any other new news? By the way, more than 1,000 celestial clan cultivators died in the netherworld, which also made several nearby demon sects nervous. They have sent people to the Kiwi market to investigate. Chapter 1059. It will be difficult to find him again. Qin Yu's information made Su Fan laugh and cry. It seemed that he had thought things were simple. Now more than 1,000 elite cultivators of the celestial race died at once. This was no small matter for the celestial race or the demon sect near the netherworld. More than 1,000 celestial race cultivators in the god transformation realm, plus more than 100 old monsters in the refining void realm, none of them escaped, and all died in the netherworld. Who wouldn't be scared of this? If there is a high-level netherworld creature hidden nearby, it would also be a huge threat to the demon sect cultivators exploring here. Qin Yu, how many celestial race cultivators have arrived at Mangution this time? I don't know the total number, but the number of celestial race cultivators who came to Kiwi market in the past few days has exceeded 10,000, and more people will continue to come. Damn. So many of them came. Hearing that so many celestial race cultivators had come, Su Fan was not afraid, but very excited. With so many blood sacrifice materials, even if he couldn't break through the refining void realm, he could still make progress to the late stage of the transformation spirit realm. Su Fan chatted with Qin Yu for a few more words, and then put away the Jade Talisman of Ruai Pavilion. Seeing that the celestial clan cultivators were reluctant to enter the netherworld, he was not in a hurry. Anyway, Su Fan was hiding somewhere, next to the only way to the last battlefield. When they came in, he decided to show his face first. Thinking of this, he raised his hand and snapped his fingers. The blood sample that Su Fan had arranged deep in the netherworld suddenly disappeared. He summoned Yaksha again and arranged a new blood sample in a nearby cave. A month later, more than 100 large and small shuttles arrived at the last battlefield. Qing Su Xianzhen, Huan Kong and others got off the shuttles, and they began to check the traces left over from the last war on the battlefield. Although the group of old monsters in the refining void realm were all very knowledgeable, it was a pity that the traces of the netherworld dirty earth and netherworld yin fire had long been dealt with by Su Fan. In addition, the flesh and blood of the Shinran clan monks were all sacrificed in blood, leaving only pieces of broken bones scattered in the rotten soil. So they checked the scene for a long time and didn't see any clues. But from the fragments of robes and other items left by their fellows scattered on the ground, Huan Kong and other big men of the Shinran clan were incomparably heavy-hearted. These fellows died too tragically. Several big men in the refining void realm of the Shinran clan all gathered around Huan Kong. Huan Kong, what do you think? Although I don't know why these fellows died, that kid must have been here. Hearing his words, everyone else was stunned. Huan Kong sighed and said, look at the bones left by these fellows, their flesh has obviously been sacrificed in blood. Hearing Huan Kong say this, several old monsters in the refining void realm of the Shinran clan suddenly realized. Just now they were busy looking for traces left on the battlefield, and they didn't think about this at all. Now they think about it, it's really the case. This can only mean one thing, when those fellows were killed, the boy was probably hiding nearby. Duke Huan, at this time. Several celestial clan cultivators shouted and hurried to Huan Kong's side. Duke Huan, we just did another divination and found that the demon's aura is not far away, a celestial clan divination cultivator said, took out a miniature array plate to activate a transparent light curtain, and then pointed to a location with his hand. Duke Huan, the boy's aura is nearby, only 100 miles away from us. Before Huan Kong could speak, several celestial clan Liangsu realm old monsters next to him became excited. Duke Huan, you stay here to investigate the cause of death of your fellow tribesmen. We will take people to catch that kid. Maybe we can learn something from him. Yes, if he was hiding nearby when those fellow tribesmen were killed, then he must know what happened at that time. This is a rare opportunity, Duke Huan. If that kid escapes, it will be difficult to find him again. Seeing several people eager to try, Huan Kong could only agree reluctantly. Then you can take your tribesmen with you. Be careful on the road and don't let him escape. I will stay here and continue to investigate the cause of death of my fellow tribesmen with those people from the demon sect. After hearing Huan Kong's words, Several old monsters in the refining void realm hurriedly called their tribesmen, mobilized hundreds of their fellow tribesmen, and drove more than 10 shuttles away. Looking at the backs of his fellow tribesmen leaving, Huan Kong sighed secretly. Although he was elected as the leader, there are many fellow tribesmen who came to Barbarian Bone Heaven this time, and they are all elite tribesmen from various worlds. When he makes a decision, he must also consider the opinions of other fellow tribesmen, and he can't make a decision on his own. At this time, King Su Shianzhen and other high-ranking members of the nearby demon sect came to him. Fellow Taoist Huan Kong, what are your fellow tribesmen doing? Just now, a tribe member predicted that the demon's aura was nearby, and they went to arrest that kid. After hearing his words, King Su Shianzhen and others looked at each other. Could it be that the kid was hiding nearby when the war broke out? It seems that he really has something to do with this matter. Fellow Taoist Huan Kong, we just looked and didn't see any clues. I didn't see anything either, but I found that the flesh and blood of these fellow tribesmen seem to have been sacrificed by blood. King Su Shianzhen nodded after hearing this. In fact, he also saw this point just now, and it was similar to what he guessed. This war must be related to that little demon. And the scene was obviously damaged. It must have been done by that kid. Since your tribesmen went to arrest that kid, let's wait and see if we can get some information from that little demon. In everyone's opinion, since the kid's location was predicted, hundreds of Shinran cultivators would definitely be able to capture him easily. However, Huan Kong had a solemn expression on his face at this moment. For some reason, he felt a little irritable, as if something bad was going to happen. His intuition was still very accurate. Whenever he had this feeling in the past, something would happen. Thinking of this, Huan Kong looked at the direction where his fellow tribesmen left. Taoist King Su, let's go over and take a look. King Su Shianzhen and others nodded after hearing this. Instead of waiting here, why not go over and take a look at the excitement? In fact, they had long wanted to see the little devil who was being hunted by all the celestial races in the medium world. Next, Huan Kong, King Su Shianzhen and others also boarded the shuttle and was towards the direction where the celestial race left. Chapter 1060, Traces of the Great Dao. More than 100 large and small 9-yin flying shuttles roared and galloped on the muddy rotten soil. Huan Kong, King Su Shianzhen and others stood side by side on a huge flying shuttle, looking at the gray sky in the distance. Suddenly, a ray of light seemed to flash in the gray sky in the distance. This light was like a candle flame in the dark night sky, but it only flashed and disappeared. But Huan Kong, King Su Shianzhen and others were all high-level cultivators, and they saw the doorway at a glance. This is clearly a sword light. And they knew in their hearts that this sword light was not as simple as it looked. Huan Kong, King Su Shianzhen and others clearly felt a pure law power from this sword light. They were indeed right. There was a sudden silence between heaven and earth. Although the sword light flashed, everyone felt a dull and depressing breath lingering between heaven and earth. The empty world trembled slightly at this moment. It was as if something terrifying was about to cross the border, and the overwhelming pressure was spreading everywhere in the netherworld. In the perception of Huan Kong and King Su Shianzhen, it seemed that there was a terrifying aura as dazzling as the sun, almost burning people's perception, filling the entire world. Shoo! At this moment, a sharp whistling sound suddenly came from the gray sky in the distance. As a dazzling light flashed across the gray sky, the sky and the earth suddenly became as bright as day. Boom boom, then, the gray sky was like boiling water, and suddenly there was a loud noise that resounded through the 8 wastelands. An extremely thick sword light instantly fell from the sky, whistling and slashing towards the ground. In an instant, it was as if an unimaginable and terrifying explosion had occurred, and the terrifying aftermath of the explosion set off a storm of destruction. The invisible and intangible destructive power wave spread, and in an instant, the terrifying wave swept all around, and the terrifying annihilation power almost affected 1,000 miles. Not good. Huan Kong, King Su Shianzhen and others took action, and quickly activated immortal arts or activated talismans to prop up several spiritual barriers in front. Almost at the same time, a series of extremely sharp auras swept across like flying swords. Crackle! The barriers held up by several masters of the refining void realm blocked the extremely sharp auras. However, after only a short while, these newly held spiritual barriers broke and collapsed one after another, which was barely enough to block the terrifying aftermath of the explosion. Crack! Crack! A crack suddenly opened on the ground in the distance, and mud and rotten oil rolled and fell. Between the gray sky, Cracks spread like spider webs on the sky, and the next moment they were dissipated by the terrifying annihilation energy. It was not until the aftermath of the explosion dissipated that the world became quiet. When Huan Kong, Qing Su Xianzhen and others saw the scene in the distance, they were all stunned by shock. A deep gully hundreds of miles long was cut out in front of them. What was even more terrifying was that in the gray sky in the distance, a huge crack hundreds of miles long crossed the sky. The dark and deep crack was surrounded by chaotic air, and the darkness was so dark that one could not see one's hand in front of one's face. As if it was going to swallow up all the air in the sky and on the ground. It seemed that if one looked at it for a second longer, one's soul would be sucked in. Looking at the huge crack in the gray sky in the distance that almost split the entire sky in half, everyone was stunned. They stared with their eyes wide open, their mouths wide open, and there was a trace of unspeakable fear in their eyes. Is this still the power of the law? His sword is not only the power of the law, it should contain a trace of the great Dao. Who is this? Is it a madman from the sword sect? It doesn't look like the work of a sword cultivator. I haven't heard of any sword madman who can cut a sword that contains a trace of the great Dao. Listening to the words of several old monsters in the refining void realm of the demon sect next to him, he didn't care about these things. He was more worried about the safety of the tribesmen in front. Fellow Taoists, should we go over and take a look first? After hearing Huan Kong's words, Qing Su Xianzhen and others could only call on the disciples in the sect and control the 9 yin flying shuttle to continue moving forward. In fact, they didn't want to go over right away. The sword just now was too scary. No matter who cut the sword just now, these old monsters of the demon sect didn't want to provoke it. But since Huan Kong said so, they couldn't act too cowardly. More than 109 yin flying shuttles moved forward for a while, and they finally came to the edge of the deep ravine. Huan Kong, Qing Su Xianzhen and others released their spiritual senses and scanned the deep gully. But as soon as their spiritual senses entered the gully, they felt a sharp sword intent and quickly retracted their spiritual senses. At this time, they saw a group of people running over in a panic from a distance. Huan Kong's eyes condensed, and the people running towards them were his fellow tribesmen. After a while, those people ran over, and they all started crying when they saw Huan Kong. Huan Kong, they are all dead, they are all dead. Huan Kong hurriedly got off the shuttle, looking at these surviving tribesmen, his heart was bleeding. There were only a dozen of his fellow tribesmen left out of hundreds of them. What made him unbelievable was that more than a dozen old monsters in the refining void realm did not escape with him. Stop crying. After being scolded loudly by Huan Kong, these Shinran cultivators stopped crying. Huan Kong pointed at a fellow cultivator and asked in a deep voice, "You said, what happened just now? We saw that kid just now," and Jigong and his men rushed over, but who knew that kid cut it down with a sword? Hearing the other party's words, Huan Kong was stunned. "You said that the sword just now was cut by that kid?" "Yes, if it weren't for the life-saving magic weapon given to us by my ancestor before we came here, we wouldn't be able to come back." Hearing him say this, not only Huan Kong, but also several old monsters of the demon sect such as Qing Su Xianzhen, showed a trace of surprise on their faces. Just now, dozens of miles away, they clearly felt the traces of the great Dao contained in this sword. Although they are all cultivators from the super demon sect, they have only comprehended the power of the law. Not only Qing Su Xianzhen and others, according to what they know, even in the entire barbarian bone heaven. No one has heard of any cultivator in the refining void realm who has comprehended the great Dao. Unexpectedly, this little demon from a small world has such a heaven-defying understanding. Chapter 1061. Isn't this moral kidnapping? Qing Su Xianzhen and several old monsters of the demon sect beside him looked at each other. They all read the same meaning from each other's eyes, that is, they would never get involved in the matter of the celestial race. What a joke, to provoke such a little devil who defies the heavens, wouldn't that cause trouble for their own sect? From the sword just now, it can be seen that the boy is definitely a ruthless person. Moreover, the other party is a loner. Once they provoke such a guy, they will have trouble sleeping and eating in the future. Boom boom. At this time, a blood-colored light column can be seen faintly falling from the sky between the gray sky in the distance. Looking at the blood-colored light column in the distance, Huan Kong's eyes turned red. It was obvious that the boy was using the corpses of his fellow tribesmen for a blood sacrifice, and he rushed over without thinking. But looking at the dozen or so tribesmen in front of him who were already scared, he finally suppressed his impulse. Huan Kong turned his head and glanced at King Suzan and others. Dao King Su, that evil cultivator is sacrificing the corpses of our clansmen. You are all from famous and orthodox sects. Are you just going to let this little devil perform his evil magic and do nothing? After hearing Huan Kong's words, King Su Venerable and others were all stunned. It's none of our business if he performs his evil magic. Besides, we are the demon sect. The blood sect also has the art of blood sacrifice, which is not a big deal in the demon sect. Dao Huan Kong, don't worry. We will report this to the sect leaders when we go back. Dao King Su, that little devil is on the evil cultivator bounty list. Are you, the famous and orthodox sects, just let him go unpunished? King Sun Xianzan and others looked unhappy after hearing this. How can you talk like that? Isn't this moral kidnapping? Who said we would let him go unpunished? We haven't confirmed the other party's identity yet. Fellow Taoist Huan Kong, let's go back to Kiwai Market first. We will report this to the sect and then make plans. Huan Kong sighed secretly. He didn't expect these old guys from the demon sect to be so shameless. Helplessly, he could only follow the King Su Venerable and others back the way they came and drove the shuttle to the direction of Kiwai Market. When they returned to Kiwai Market, the King Su Venerable and others reported the matter to the sect. Several high-ranking officials of the sect immediately issued a decree to them, that is, they should not get involved in the mess of the celestial race in any case. And they were asked to strictly order the disciples in the sect not to contact the celestial race. These old monsters of the demon sect knew very well that the celestial race was rich and powerful, and there was no guarantee that one of the disciples in the sect would be tempted by them and participate in this matter. And the news that hundreds of celestial race monks died in the netherworld was spread out, and there was an uproar in Kiwai Market. It has only been a short time, and 2 groups of Shinran clan monks have died in the netherworld. As more and more Shinran clan monks poured into the Kiwai Market, the members of the Shinran clan's recognized strongest group also arrived. This group, even among all the members of the middle world, is the most noble and powerful one. The internal classes of the Shinran clan are very clear, and Huan Kong is no longer the most senior person in the Kiwai Market, so he automatically gave up the position of leader. After being recommended by many members of the same clan, a half-step fusion realm leader named Yao Zhuang from the strongest group served as the leader of all members of the same clan this time. At this moment, in a luxurious courtyard in the Kiwai Market, hundreds of Shinran clan's Liangsu realm monks gathered. Several Shinran clan's half-step fusion realm old monsters sitting at the top were looking deeply at Huan Kong and others standing in the middle of the courtyard. At this time, the atmosphere in the courtyard was extremely depressing, and it was quite like a 3-court trial. Huan Kong, tell me, what happened? After hearing Yao Zhuang's interrogation-like questioning, Huan Kong felt very aggrieved. Especially the hundreds of eyes of his fellow tribesmen in the courtyard were all cast on him, which made him bear great pressure. Huan Kong was not afraid of anything. After all, he had a clear conscience. So he narrated the whole story to his fellow tribesmen. Huan Kong, you said that the sword that boy slashed out contained traces of the great Dao? Don't evade responsibility. The death of hundreds of fellow tribesmen, no matter what, you can't get away with it. So many fellow tribesmen died tragically at the hands of that little devil. But why are you safe and sound? Facing the questioning of his fellow tribesmen, Huan Kong sighed secretly. He had clearly said it very clearly, but why did these people always hold on to those trivial things? He knew very well in his heart that at this time he had no way to defend himself, and no matter how he explained, it would be useless. So Huan Kong simply stopped talking and let them talk. Okay, everyone stop talking. At this time, the half-step fusion realm old monster sitting in the middle of the upper seat waved his hand at everyone. Huan Kong, what suggestions do you have for our next step in hunting down that kid? After listening to Yao Zhuang's words, Huan Kong took a deep breath. Don't underestimate the strength of that little devil. Although he is only a cultivator in the God transformation realm, he does have the strength to kill a cultivator in the half-step refining void realm. Moreover, he is very cunning and very good at hiding his breath. Even if his position is calculated, it may be a trap set by him. To be honest, he has been thinking about this matter these days. Especially the divination cultivator in the clan, who clearly calculated the position of this kid, but the other party appeared near the battlefield. This means that the divination cultivator in the clan calculated the other party's aura, which may be a means for the other party to confuse their sight. And he saw the sword that Su Fam slashed with his own eyes. Anyway, he asked himself that he could not take it. and the cause of death of the first 1,000 fellows who entered the netherworld has not been figured out until now. Huan Kong suspected that these fellows died at the hands of that little devil. But what puzzled him was why the boy didn't use the same methods as before the second time, but slashed out with that earth-shattering sword. Huan Kong guessed that, first, the boy wanted to confuse their judgment, and second, the other party must have hidden his strength. It must be said that Huan Kong's judgment was not wrong. Unfortunately, none of the many fellow tribesmen in the courtyard believed him. Hearing him say so, all the Shinran clan Liaxu realm cultivators in the courtyard showed a strange smile on their faces. Even Yao Zhuang, who was sitting at the top, frowned when he heard his words. Huan Kong, take them down first. Huan Kong was stunned for a moment, then bowed to Yao Zhuang and others at the top, and led more than 10 fellow tribesmen to turn around and leave the courtyard. Chapter 1062, We, the demon sect, will not get involved in this matter. At midnight, in a house deep in the Kiwai market, King Sun Xianzan and several other old monsters from the demon sect gathered here. After they came back, they reported the matter to their respective sects. Brother King Su, why did you call us here tonight? Yes, it's almost midnight, it's a bit late to ask us to drink. King Su, please speak up, is there anything wrong with the netherworld again? Facing the inquiries of several people, King Sun Xianzan smiled, then picked up the teacup and took a sip. Please be patient, you will know in a while. The few people in the room immediately became unhappy. They were not far from the demon sect and were very familiar with each other. At this time, King Sun Xianzan's eyes condensed. Stop making trouble, let's go out. After King Sun Xianzan finished speaking, he stood up from the ground and hurried out of the house. Seeing him hurriedly walking out, several old monsters in the refining void realm in the house were confused, but they could only stand up and follow him out of the junction into the yard. When they came to the yard outside, they saw several old men standing in the yard. It was not until this time that they understood why King Sun Xianzan had called him here. It turned out that the old men standing in the yard were all the big men in the fusion realm from the nearby major demon sects. King Sun Xianzan and others hurriedly walked up and paid homage to the big men in the fusion realm. Junior, I pay my respects to all the gods. The old man in the lead laughed, waved his hand at them, and then walked straight into the jinx with several demon sect big men. After they entered the house, they sat down cross-legged. King Sun Xianzan and others quickly brewed a pot of spiritual tea for them, and then stood in front of the big men in the demon sects. Why are you standing? Sit down. After hearing the words of the old man in the lead, King Sun Xianzan and others sat down properly. You said that the boy that the Celestials were chasing had a trace of the great Dao in his sword. After hearing what the other party said, King Sun Xianzan hurriedly replied respectfully. Report to the God of Silence, we were all nearby at the time and saw the sword with our own eyes. Several other cultivators in the refining void realm also added their stories about the situation at that time. I remember that boy came from a small world, and his cultivation level is only at the transformation of the spirit realm. King Sun Xianzan nodded after hearing this. Report to the God of Silence, that boy is indeed from a small world, and his realm is indeed at the transformation of the spirit realm, but it is said that he can communicate with a certain big man in the upper realm of the witch sect and temporarily raise his realm to the refining void realm. A big man in the fusion realm of the demon sect next to him laughed after hearing this. Let alone the realm temporarily raised by the Wu sect's summoning magic, even some cultivators who have just broken through the fusion realm may not be able to comprehend a trace of the great Dao. Lord Jikun frowned and thought for a while, and said, you said that he killed hundreds of Shinran cultivators with one sword, including more than 10 Liaxu realm cultivators. Report to Lord Jikun, we were more than 100 miles away at that time. Did that kid's sword leave a sword mark? That sword cut out a gully of more than 100 miles, and also left a space crack of dozens of miles. Hearing what Venerable King Su said, several fusion realm masters of the demon sect were silent. To be honest, they didn't believe this before they came here. What a joke, a demon cultivator from the transformation realm of a small world. The sword he slashed actually contained a trace of the great Dao. It happened that they were going to the depths of the netherworld recently, so they came to take a look. From the attitude of Venerable King Su just now, it can be seen that this matter should be true. After all, these disciples of their respective demon sects can't talk nonsense to them. Since there was a sword mark left at the scene, I just went to take a look. By the way, you should all stay here recently. Something big might happen in the depths of the netherworld. You must keep the secret and never let anyone know. After hearing what Chicken Divine Venerable said, the faces of King Sushianzan and others became solemn. They were all thinking about what big thing was going to happen in the depths of the netherworld, but they didn't dare to ask. Report to Chicken Divine Venerable, the celestial race is chasing that kid in the netherworld, will it be? Before he finished speaking, Chicken Divine Venerable waved his hand. I heard that the kid has a demon seed. We, the demon sect, will not get involved in this matter. Let them do it. Hearing what Chicken Divine Venerable said, the several cultivators in the void refining realm in the room all breathed a sigh of relief. Originally, they didn't want to provoke that little demon. This kind of loner evil cultivator is the most difficult to deal with. Once provoked, it will be a fight to the death. How many Celestial Clan cultivators have come to Kiwai Market now? King Sushianzan thought for a moment and said, we just counted yesterday, and there are more than 20,000 people, and there are more Celestial Clan cultivators coming here every day. Hearing his words, a fusion realm leader next to him sneered. Is it necessary to make such a big scene to hunt down an evil cultivator from a small world? If that kid gets away in the end, the Celestial Clan will be embarrassed. Jikun Shenjen also laughed and said, haha. I guess they may not be able to catch that kid. After he finished speaking, he picked up the teacup and took a sip, then glanced at the several fusion realm leaders next to him. Okay, we should leave too. As soon as Jikun Shenjen finished speaking, the figures of several fusion realm leaders disappeared from the house. It was not until several fusion realm leaders of the demon sect disappeared in the jinx that King Sushianzan and others breathed a sigh of relief. Even though they were already old monsters in the refining void realm, they were like little kids in front of the big guys in the combination realm, and the pressure was not ordinary. King Su, what did you say? That Jikun Shenjen said that something big was going to happen. What's going on? King Sushianzan smiled and said, you ask me, who should I ask? Anyway, everyone remember, don't go out and talk nonsense about this matter. At this time, an old monster in the refining void realm from the demon sect next to him suddenly said something. You said that the big event that might happen in the depths of the netherworld is related to the netherworld realm? Hearing him say this, the jinx suddenly became quiet. Although no one wanted such a thing to happen, they knew very well in their hearts that what the other party said was very likely. King Sushianzan and others were all from famous families, and of course they had heard about the war at that time from the ancestors of their families. They all silently calculated the time in their hearts. It had been thousands of years since the last invasion of the netherworld realm. That was a catastrophe for the entire Mangushan. Chapter 1063. This old thing is really a treasure. In the early morning, the sky gradually dawned. The pale blue sky was studded with a few broken stars, and the earth was hazy, as if covered with a silver gray veil. Yao Zhuang stood at the gate of the Kiwai Market, watching countless fellow tribesmen roaring towards the distant dark and dangerous land. He looked back at the group of Shinran clan, refining virtual realm old monsters behind him, and smiled slightly. You guys go too, keep in touch at any time. After hearing this, the group of refining virtual realm old monsters saluted him one after another, then turned and left. Looking at the backs of many fellow tribesmen, Yao Zhuang turned his head to look at Huan Kong again, and then stepped onto a huge shuttle to leave the market. Huan Kong sighed secretly. He wanted to speak several times just now and wanted to make his own suggestions to Yao Zhuang, but finally gave up. Although the divination monks and the clan had calculated the location of the boy, it was probably a trap set by the other party. Forget it, even if he said it, those fellow tribesmen would not listen. At this moment, Lord Jikun and others were floating in the air, looking at the deep gully of more than 100 miles on the ground. Even after so long, there was still a trace of cold sword intent in this deep gully. Lord Jikun raised his head and took another look at the space crack in the sky. Brothers, have you figured out what's going on? After hearing his words, an old monster in the fusion realm of the demon sect smiled. What those guys said is right. This sword does contain a trace of the great Dao. Is this kid really from a small world? His comprehension is also against the sky. No one with a demon seed is simple. He has such comprehension in the transformation realm. This kid will be extraordinary in the future. Lord Jikun shook his head and said, it's a pity, this kid is an evil cultivator. He felt it was a pity to see the sword mark left by Su Fan with his own eyes. Barbarian Bone Heaven is likely to usher in another catastrophe. Now the sect is in need of people. If such a demon who defies the sky can be accepted into the sect, it will definitely be of great use. But the reputation of this boy has spread, even the demon sect dare not accept such a cruel evil cultivator. Su Fan knew nothing about what was happening outside. At this time, he was sitting cross-legged by the pond beside the thatched cottage, practicing the 7th level of Heavenly Demon Saint body art. Huh? Su Fan exhaled a long breath of turbid air, and then slowly opened his eyes. It's a pity that several months have passed, and the 7th level of this set of family-losing skills has not been practiced to perfection. But it doesn't matter. With his current strength, it is enough to deal with those celestial beings for the time being. At this time, the jade talisman of Ruai Pavilion on Su Fan's waist vibrated slightly. He took the jade talisman off his belt and took a look at the message sent by Qin Yu. Devours, you have to be careful. I just received news that tens of thousands of celestial beings gathered in the Kiwi market have entered the netherworld. What the hell? Why are you here just now? I have been waiting impatiently. They have been away from Kiwi market for a few days. According to intelligence, the Celestials left Kiwi market 5 days ago. The scene at that time was extremely sensational. Su Fan chatted with Qin Yu for a few more words, and then put away the jade talisman. He stood up from the ground and sent a thought to Yaksha. Yaksha, send some ghost soldiers and ghost generals out, and tell me in time about any disturbance within 100 miles. Yaksha, obey my master's decree. Su Fan took out a miniature array plate from the ring, and then input spiritual energy to stimulate a transparent light curtain. At this time, the red dot on the light curtain was the blood and key sample he arranged. This was a secret method of evil cultivation that he learned from the evil cultivator Wangda. As long as he used a trace of his own blood and key, he could arrange a blood and key sample that would confuse his own key. I have to say, this old thing is really a treasure. He must have various secret techniques for evil cultivation to conceal their breath, and almost all of them are long-lost evil secret techniques. At this time, spots of light began to appear on the light curtain. These were the ghost soldiers and ghost generals sent by Yaksha. Now looking at this transparent light curtain again, the situation on the battlefield is clear at a glance. Su Fan stared at the light curtain for a while, selected a suitable ambush site on it, then lifted the light curtain and put the miniature array into the ring. He said hello to Sister Zhen, left the portable secret realm, summoned Yaksha again, and asked him to drive the 9-yin flying shuttle GTI away. More than a month later, tens of thousands of Shinran cultivators had completed their deployment. At this time, they were starting to surround a place where Su Fan arranged the blood samples from several directions. Tens of thousands of Shinran cultivators, driving densely packed flying shuttles, ran wildly on the muddy and rotten land of the netherworld, and the scene was extremely spectacular for a while. At this moment, Yao Zhuang was standing on a huge flying shuttle with his hands behind his back. Behind him stood a transparent light curtain, and a group of Shinran clan cultivators were gathering in front of the light curtain, constantly reporting various information to him. Yao Zhuang's face was very solemn at this time, far from the high spirits when he just arrived at the Kiwi market. Because he deliberately went to see the sword mark left by Su Fan, and he couldn't calm down for a long time after seeing it. Originally thought that he was just chasing the evil cultivator of a small world, but since he saw the sword mark, his mood has become heavy. How could he comprehend the state of mind of the great Dao? Since he was a child, Yao Zhuang has been praised by his family and even the entire Shinran clan as a cultivation genius that has not appeared in tens of thousands of years. But since he saw the sword mark left by Su Fan, his self-esteem has been greatly hurt. Now he is already in the half-step fusion realm, but he has not even comprehended a trace of the state of mind of the great Dao. It can even be said that he has not even seen the threshold of the great Dao. This blow to Yao Zhuang can be said to be extremely heavy. No matter what the cost, this kid must be killed. If he is allowed to grow up in the future, it is not certain whether the entire Shinran clan can still exist at that time. Thinking of this, Yao Zhuang suppressed his inner disappointment. He turned around and asked his fellow tribesmen behind him. Have fellow tribesmen from all directions arrived at the designated location? After hearing what Yao Zhuang said, an old monster in the refining void realm hurriedly reported to him. Reporting to Lord Yao, fellow tribesmen from all directions have arrived at the designated location and have surrounded that kid. With such a tight net, that kid can't escape. Yao Zhuang nodded and looked up at the gray sky. It was already night, and it was pitch black in the netherworld, so dark that you couldn't even see your hand in front of you. Notify all tribesmen to camp on the spot and take turns to be on duty. Don't let that kid take advantage of the loopholes and escape from the encirclement. Chapter 1064. He has always underestimated his strength. At midnight, the netherworld was quiet. The night here is the most dangerous time, and it is absolutely pitch dark. Even the demon cultivators who have been exploring the netherworld for many years will not rush at night, and will choose a safe place to camp. Although the cultivators are gentlemen who are not afraid of the dark, in the harsh environment of the netherworld, the detection ability of the divine sense will be greatly reduced. Yao Zhuang sat cross-legged in the portable secret realm, still thinking about the sword mark left by Su Fan, which contained the artistic conception of the great Dao. Until this moment, his mood has not been calm for a long time. Although Yao Zhuang has already reached the half-step fusion realm, his Dao heart has always been very transparent, but who would have thought that today he would break the great defense? As long as he closes his eyes, the sword mark left by Su Fan will appear. Yao Zhuang knows in his heart that there is a flaw in his Dao heart. He clenched his fists fiercely, trying to wave away the haze that weighed on his heart, but the strong jealousy and competitive spirit came like a tide, torturing him constantly. Although Yao Zhuang reevaluated Su Fan's strength after seeing the power of Su Fan's sword. So this time, the siege operation will definitely cost many of his fellow tribesmen. But Yao Zhuang, considering the overall situation and his own selfishness, could not care so much. No matter how much it costs, this kid must die. Yao Zhuang's judgment is that although Su Fan's sword is extremely powerful, even if he is an Iron Man, he cannot use such a big move indefinitely. So he is ready to use these tens of thousands of fellow tribesmen to kill the kid. At this time, the communication array on Yao Zhuang's waist vibrated slightly. He frowned, then took off the communication array from his waist and took a look. Mr. Yao, the fellow tribesmen in the southwest have just lost contact. Yao Zhuang stood up from the ground suddenly, and then flashed out of the portable secret realm, and saw a group of old monsters in the refining realm gathered in front of a transparent light curtain. Seeing him coming, a group of people hurried over. Mr. Yao, we just lost contact with our fellow tribesmen in the southwest, Yao Zhuang asked in a deep voice. Have you sent someone to check? We have sent someone, but no news has been sent back until now. Yao Zhuang frowned, and then walked quickly to the front of the transparent light curtain. At this time, the dense light spots on the light curtain have surrounded a red light spot. Only the light spots in the southwest have disappeared, leaving only some scattered tribesmen arranged around. Did a large spiritual energy fluctuation appear around just now? I have asked just now, and no one has noticed any spiritual energy fluctuation. The plan formulated by the Celestial Clan is to adopt a 5-way encirclement strategy, spreading around from 5 directions, and seeking to fully encircle Su Fan's hiding place. Now this strategy has been successfully completed, and the Celestial Clan monks in the 5 directions have been fully deployed and established a tight encirclement. At this time, the fellow tribesmen in the southwest suddenly lost contact with Yao Zhuang, which is a bit incredible. And there is no spiritual energy fluctuation around. How did the fellow tribesmen in the southwest disappear? I'll go and take a look. Yao Zhuang thought about it and decided to go and take a look himself. After he finished speaking, he led more than 100 of his fellows in the refining void realm, driving the 9-yin flying shuttle and roaring towards the southwest. At this moment, Su Fan was floating in the air, watching the densely packed ghost soldiers and ghost generals floating on the ground cleaning the battlefield. Master, a group of celestial cultivators from the north are rushing here. At this time, a thought from Yaksha came to Su Fan's mind. He thought for a while and said, Yaksha, Sister Zhen, collect the ghost soldiers and ghost generals immediately. We should change places. Yaksha and Sister Zhen heard it and hurriedly collected the densely packed ghost soldiers and ghost generals around them. Master, I haven't cleaned it up yet, and there are still many rings that I haven't picked up. Su Fan was so angry. He was really a little money grubber. It's okay. They won't run away even if we leave them here. Sooner or later, they will be ours. When Sister Zhen and Yaksha returned to the secret realm, Su Fan's eyes condensed, and he turned into thin mist and floated away in another direction. Su Fan temporarily disappeared and left, not because he was afraid of the group of celestials rushing here. In fact, on the contrary, he was more afraid of scaring the celestials from other directions. The reason why he didn't activate the Netherworld Filthy Earth and Netherworld Yin Fire when he killed hundreds of Celestials last time was because he was afraid of scaring away other Celestials. But in order to lead all Celestials into the Netherworld, he should still show up. So he deliberately activated the demon-eyed body in front of those celestials, and then slashed with a sword. His original intention was to slash with a sword to show his presence, and then turn around and flee from here. Who would have thought that after slashing with that sword, Su Fan himself was scared? Heaven and earth, he slashed out that sword. The purpose was only to show his existence, so that the celestial beings who arrived one after another would enter the netherworld to hunt him down. In fact, he had always underestimated his own strength. Especially after breaking through the 7th level of the heavenly demon saint body art, his strength had undergone another earth-shaking change. As for the fact that the sword contained a trace of the artistic conception of the great Dao, it was not because of his incomprehension. It was because since he entered the dream space of the ghost demon last time, all kinds of artistic conceptions of the great Dao were collected and summarized by the game panel. Su Fan now uses the game panel every day to study and ponder the artistic conception of the great Dao. Over the years, his understanding of various artistic conceptions of the great Dao has long surpassed other cultivators. This sword contains a trace of the artistic conception of the great Dao. In addition to being a manifestation of accumulation, luck also accounts for a large part. In addition, he slashed this sword casually, and his mentality was completely different. Anyway, it was under various coincidences that he slashed out such a powerful sword. In order to prevent the Celestials from being afraid of his strength, Su Fan temporarily avoided the Celestials and drifted in another direction. What he feared most now was scaring the Celestials away. So he absolutely could not let them know that he was good at controlling the netherworld filthy earth and the netherworld yin fire. Because the netherworld filthy earth and the netherworld yin fire were two things that specifically defeated the Celestials. When Yao Zhuang and his men arrived at a camp in the southwest, they were stunned by the scene in front of them. They saw that within a radius of dozens of miles, there were broken limbs and bones of their own people all over the camp. Except for the scattered members of the same tribe who survived, everyone else was killed. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 1065 Why Am I Being Polite? Yao Zhuang looked at the camp that looked like the end of the world. His face was extremely solemn. Now even he couldn't figure out who attacked the camp of his people. Because none of the corpses of his people in the camp were intact, and the muddy rotten soil was full of flesh and broken bones. Although the boy was powerful and could even cut out a sword with the artistic conception of the great Dao, he shouldn't be able to do that with his realm. Could it be that there was a high-level netherworld creature hidden nearby? After all, nearly 10,000 people of the same race gathered in this camp. How could he, a cultivator of the transformation realm, kill them all in such a short time? Moreover, all of his people were crushed to pieces, and this kind of strength could only be achieved by the big guys of the fusion realm. Just when Yao Zhuang was at a loss, Su Fan turned into thin mist and floated outside the western camp of the celestial race. He glanced at the dim lights in the distance, and then his eyes condensed. Boom! The muddy rotten soil under Su Fan's feet suddenly boiled, and then rolled up a huge earth wave several feet high, whistling towards the Xianren tribe's camp in the distance. In the camp in the distance, a Xianren tribe cultivator was standing on the shuttle, his eyes constantly scanning the surroundings. Suddenly, he vaguely heard something, and quickly focused his eyes and released all his consciousness to constantly look around, but he found nothing. But just now he lost contact with a camp of the same tribe in the southwest, which also made him have to be extremely careful. Fortunately, an invisible barrier has been arranged outside the camp, which also gave him a certain confidence. Even if danger suddenly came, it would be blocked by the barrier outside the camp first. Just as he was thinking wildly, in the dark fog in the distance, a huge earth wave like a tidal wave roared in. With a boom, the surging earth wave slammed into the barrier outside the camp. The Celestial Clan monk was stunned, and he quickly took out the communication array from his ring. A sneak attack. Someone is attacking. Everyone pay attention. Before he could finish sending the message, the barrier outside the camp had been corroded and a big hole had been formed. The terrifying earth wave rushed in from the gap in the barrier like a giant python, and then instantly turned into mud snakes, and began to spread all over the camp. Facing the dense mud snakes pouring into the camp, the Celestial Clan monk on duty quickly activated a talisman, which turned into a golden spiritual shield to block himself. Unfortunately, The golden spiritual shield only lasted for a few breaths before it collapsed. The Celestial Clan monk on duty was also swallowed by the dense mud snakes, and his body was shattered in the blink of an eye. At this time, the Celestial Clan monks in the camp were also alarmed, and they ran out from their respective secret realms. They saw several feet high earth waves sweeping towards them from all directions. Many Shinran cultivators subconsciously soared into the sky, and a pair of golden wings appeared on their backs, and they flew away whistling. However, most of them had just flown a few miles away when they entered the space cracks and were shattered by the power of space. Even if some of the remaining people were lucky enough not to enter the space cracks, they crashed into a tall mud wall. Their bodies stuck to the mud wall like a piece of pancake, and turned into a pool of meat mud and slid down from the mud wall. Facing the surging earth waves, countless Shinran cultivators in the camp took out their best life-saving methods. Boom! When the earth waves roared past like a tidal wave, 7 or 8 of the Shinran cultivators in the camp had already died. When the Shinran cultivators who survived the disaster were about to breathe a sigh of relief, they saw a figure appear in the camp at some point. Su Fan sneered, and then his eyes focused. The ground within a radius of dozens of miles around him suddenly boiled like a boiling pot. Those Shinran monks who had just survived the catastrophe suddenly felt that the mud and rotten soil under their feet turned into vines and entangled their bodies. They hurriedly used various immortal arts, talismans and magic weapons to attack these mud snakes that entangled from their feet, but it was useless. No matter whether it was immortal arts, talismans or magic weapons, as long as they touched the mud, they would be corroded instantly. After a while, the vine-like mud penetrated into their bodies, and then began to decompose instantly, breaking the Shinran monks into pieces. Until all the Shinran monks in the camp were killed, Su Fan cleaned up the battlefield with Yaksha and Sister Zhen. At this time, Yao Zhuang also received the news that the western camp had lost contact. He thought about it, and a hint of madness appeared in his eyes. No matter what the cost today, he must kill that guy. Yao Zhuang took out the communication array from his ring and began to release messages. When the Celestial Clan monks in the other 3 directions received his orders, they were all stunned. But they didn't say anything, and they all resolutely carried out his orders. Countless Celestial Clan monks from the east, south, and north surrounded the western camp frantically. At this moment, dense shuttles whizzed over the muddy rotten soil. Master, Celestial Clan monks have been found in all directions. It seems that they have sent out their entire army and are all coming towards you. Master, the Celestial Clan is encircling you. The ghost soldiers and ghost generals deployed by Yaksha in various places kept sending back messages, and Su Fan also received Yaksha's thoughts in his mind. He frowned, not knowing what these Celestial Clan monks were crazy about. However, this was not a bad thing for Su Fan. For him, he was not afraid of more Celestial Clan monks, and what he feared most was actually scaring them all away. If those Celestial Clan cultivators had fled in all directions, he really would have been helpless. But now, the Celestial Clan has actually come to his door. Why should I be polite then? Senior, help me to raise my realm to the realm of refining emptiness. As soon as Su Fan finished speaking, dense witchcraft divine patterns appeared all over his body. Boom, with him as the center, a strong bloodlight suddenly filled the area within 100 miles, sweeping up a fierce blood-colored storm. Bloodlines like spirit snakes sprang out from the surrounding rotten soil, and were swallowed up by the fierce blood-colored storm in an instant. Su Fan's realm also began to rise rapidly, and in a short while he had already risen to the middle stage of the realm of refining emptiness. There are many games before the Spring Festival, and Lao Bu drank too much tonight. So I will only update 1 chapter today, and make up for it tomorrow. Chapter 1066. That kid is dead today. At this moment, the Celestial Clan cultivators coming from 3 directions have formed a siege on the western camp. Behind these Celestial Clan cultivators, Yao Zhuang has summoned hundreds of his fellows in the refining void realm. His intention is extremely sinister, that is, he wants to use the lives of tens of thousands of his fellows to consume Su Fan's consciousness and mana, and then Yao Zhuang and his men will take action. In Yao Zhuang's view, no matter how powerful Su Fan is, he can't hold out for long in the face of the crazy siege of tens of thousands of his fellows. Moreover, places like the Netherworld are full of space cracks hidden in the darkness. Many space cracks hidden in various places cannot be discovered by the spiritual consciousness of the cultivators alone. The demon cultivators who come here to explore, let alone perform the escape technique, dare not even ride the flying boat, and even flying with magic weapons is an extremely dangerous thing. So in Yao Zhuang's eyes, that kid is dead today. He doesn't believe that tens of thousands of his fellows above the transformation realm can pile him to death. Even if tens of thousands of his people died, this guy would probably be exhausted. By then, with hundreds of his people in the void refining realm behind him, it would be too easy to kill him. No matter what the cost, this guy must die. There was no other way. After Yao Zhuang saw the sword mark left by Su Fan, he had already made up his mind. Whether it was for the overall consideration or for his own selfishness, he would not hesitate to kill this guy today. Once this guy grows up, it will be a huge threat to the entire Shinran clan. At this moment, Su Fan has activated his demon body. He found that this huge demon body is now taller and stronger than before, especially the physical strength and spiritual consciousness are several times stronger again. This several-fold improvement makes him feel stronger than ever before. Su Fan is very addicted to this feeling. He summoned Yaksha and Sister Zhen back and let them return to the secret space. "Awoo!" Su Fan roared to the sky, shocking all directions for a while. The evil power like a tide suddenly swept out. The terrifying sound was heard far away, with a faint low wail, a gloomy breath and a fierce killing intent. As Su Fan thought, a huge black sword suddenly appeared in his hand. He slowly closed his eyes and entered a state of gathering strength. At this time, the celestial cultivators around him also heard his roar. This meant that the demon was just ahead. Everyone became excited and began to speed up the shuttle, whistling madly in the direction of Su Fan. At this moment, on a bare mountain in the distance, Qing Su Xianzhen and several other old monsters of the demon sect were gathering here. Since the celestial tribe left the Kiwifang city, they followed all the way. After all, this is the territory of several demon sects, and they have to follow to take a look. Have you noticed? How did this kid's aura suddenly become so strong? It should be related to the blood-colored light column that just fell from the sky. It is said that this little devil can communicate with a big man in the upper realm of the woman, and temporarily improve his realm through the blood sacrifice of the woman. No matter what, that kid is dead. Facing the siege of tens of thousands of Shinran cultivators, let alone the Liangsu realm. Even if he is half-step fusion realm, he will die. After listening to the discussions of several old monsters of the demon sect around him, Qing Su Xianzhen couldn't help but sigh. It's really a pity. This kid can comprehend a trace of the Dao realm at the level of Huishan. If he doesn't die today, his future is limitless. But judging from the current situation, he will definitely die. Facing the siege of so many Shinran cultivators, even he can only accept his fate. If he were in another place, this kid might still be able to escape. But in the special environment of the Netherworld, even if he activated the 9th level escape technique Fairy Talisman, he would still die. Suddenly, Qing Su Xianzhen's eyes suddenly condensed. Through the gray space, he felt that the distant sky was faintly emitting a breath of infinite mystery and endless power. The sky, which was originally as dark as ink, suddenly changed, as if it had turned into a strange vast starry sky. An ordinary sword light flashed, but the whole world seemed to collapse, as if rolling up a visible tide, and time and space seemed to be intertwined and chaotic. Then, an unprecedented terrifying aura suddenly descended, as if an incomparable great terror came across time and space. Qing Su Xianzhen's breathing became rapid, and frames flashed through his mind. Spring goes and autumn comes, birth, aging, sickness and death, and then the stars move, the sea changes, and the sun rises and the moon sets. It seems that everything in this world is constantly repeating, endlessly, and there will never be an end. Not only Qing Su Xianzhen, but also several other demon sect old monsters kept repeating the endless cycle of life and death in their minds. Great Dao. That is the Great Dao? Great Dao aura, Great Dao artistic conception, that is the Great Dao artistic conception. Several old monsters in the refining void realm couldn't help but mutter, and finally they couldn't control their emotions and roared loudly. There was a strong jealousy in the eyes of Qing Su Xianzhen and others. They were all in the late stage of refining void realm, and Qing Su Xianzhen had reached the half-step fusion realm. But they had practiced hard for many years and had not even touched the threshold of the Great Dao. Why? How could this kid understand? Why could this kid understand the artistic conception of the Great Dao? Qing Su Xianzhen and others were intoxicated in their bodies and minds, and all concentrated all their energy, trying to peek into a trace of the wonderful artistic conception of the Great Dao. At this moment, Countless top bosses in the entire barbarian bone heaven cast their eyes on the netherworld. Because this kind of artistic conception of the great Dao is already in the category of the bosses in the fusion realm. Boom boom, with a violent roar that shocked thousands of miles, a violent hurricane that was as violent as destroying the heavens, and the earth broke out between heaven and earth, and the starry sky was shaken. Wherever the sword light passed, it merged into a vast light that pierced through the heavens and the earth and filled thousands of miles, emitting a sinister sword intent that destroyed everything. With a loud explosion that shook the world, the sky and the earth changed color, as if the entire world was collapsing. The sky within a radius of thousands of miles seemed to have turned into an endless eye of the storm, bursting out with a powerful force like a tsunami, crushing down layer by layer. At this time, the densely packed shuttles were like lonely boats swaying in a storm, and they would be covered by the tsunami that swept over the world at any time. All the Shinran cultivators subconsciously stopped their flying boats, and all looked up at the terrifying and boundless sword light in the sky. Chapter 1067. When have you ever suffered a loss, old man? At this moment, the extremely terrifying sword light seemed to have found a channel to vent, instantly tearing the void and whistling wildly. Boom boom, a boundless and vast light that seemed to cut the entire world in half rose from the horizon, like a rising sun, tearing apart the heavy black curtain covering the sky. The mighty and terrifying sword light that covered the sky fell down with a bang, and at this moment the dark sky was torn in half like a piece of paper. The chaotic storm swept the entire sky. Wherever the eyes could see, the sky seemed to be upside down and twisted, and invisible ripples vibrated towards the surroundings. Wherever the sword light reached, countless Shinran cultivators quickly melted and annihilated without even having time to scream, turning into dust. Where the sword light slashed, a deep gully that spanned hundreds of miles was left. What was even more terrifying was that even in the dark sky, a space crack over 100 miles long was left. The aftermath of the sword slashing seemed to be filled with an incomprehensible and mysterious power of Tao and Law, which overturned the entire world like a tide, rolling towards both sides of the gully. The mighty and terrifying sword intent was like a river pouring down from the sky, rushing towards both sides of the gully, instantly sweeping away all the Celestial Clan monks on both sides. The densely packed Celestial Clan monks instantly turned into dust, disintegrated into countless pieces of flesh and blood, and rolled up a bloody rain. At this time, if you look down from the sky, the densely packed shuttles on the ground have been wiped out. A large area. Su Fan's sword just now killed more than 10,000 Celestial Clan monks. The Celestial Clan monks who survived this terrifying sword light all ran around like crazy, trying to escape from this place. The Celestial Clan monks in other directions also had the intention to retreat. Yao Zhuang and others standing behind the Celestial Clan were also stunned by the sword just now. That was a sword that contained a hint of the great Dao. Who wouldn't be confused? A trace of jealousy and vicious hatred flashed in Yao Zhuang's eyes. Seeing that his fellow tribesmen who were besieging Su Fan had been shocked, he quickly took out the communication array from his ring. My fellows, you all saw the sword just now. He is only a cultivator in the God transformation realm. This is a cross-level spell. He can only use such a big move a few times. This demon has realized the Dao in the God transformation realm. If we let him escape today, when he grows up, our entire Shinran clan will face a life and death situation. My fellows, this big demon is extremely cruel. He can do anything. Think about the tens of millions of people who were sacrificed by him. We can't let those fellows who just died die meaninglessly. Even if all of you die, I will fill in without hesitation. Today is our best chance. No matter how much it costs, we must kill this big demon. Yao Zhuang released several messages in succession, all of which were sent to the communication array plates of all Shinran clan cultivators. Tens of thousands of Shinran clan cultivators took out the communication array plates and looked at the messages released by Yao Zhuang. It must be said that Yao Zhuang's messages were extremely inflammatory. Moreover, the Celestial Clan cultivators were the most united race in this world of cultivation. Everyone was touched by Yao Zhuang's message. At this time, the Celestial Clan cultivators in all directions were originally ready to retreat, but now they all turned around and continued to kill Su Fan. Of course, there were also a few Celestial Clan cultivators who chose to leave quietly and disappeared into the dark night. But the vast majority of Celestial Clan cultivators all chose to attack tragically. Yao Zhuang turned around. He glanced at the transparent light curtain behind him, and nodded with relief. He knew that his strategy worked. Even if the kid had comprehended a trace of the Dao realm, what would it matter? After all, it was a cross-level spell. How many swords could he cast with a sword like the one just now? It is estimated that after casting that sword just now, the kid's blood, consciousness and mana should have been consumed by more than half. There are also tens of thousands of fellow tribesmen left, and they can kill him even if they are piled up. When he is exhausted, he can easily kill him with hundreds of fellow tribesmen in the refining void realm. Even if all the people here are dead, this kid must die today. Fellow people, let's go too. He turned around and waved to the people who were driving the shuttle, then rushed out with a whistle. The hundreds of old monsters in the refining void realm behind Yao Zhuang also drove the shuttle without hesitation and followed him to kill in the direction of Su Fan. At this moment, Su Fan was leaning on the black sword, panting heavily. In fact, Yao Zhuang's judgment was not wrong at all. The sword just now did consume a lot of his energy. Even if Su Fan had broken through the 7th level of the heavenly demon saint body art, if he slashed out 3 or 5 swords, he would probably use up all his blood, consciousness and mana. If he didn't have a killer move, he might have to think about how to escape at this time. But Yao Zhuang would never have thought that Su Fan's killer move was not a sword move that contained a trace of the great Dao artistic conception, but a special sword move that could defeat the heavenly people's netherworld yin fire and netherworld dirty earth. Master, they are surrounding us again. At this time, Su Fan received a thought from Yi Che in his mind. The ghost soldiers and generals deployed around had already sent the movement of the Celestials. After receiving the thought from Yaksha, Su Fan couldn't help but breathe a sigh of relief. He was really afraid that the sword just now would scare away all the remaining Celestials. It seems that the leader of the Celestials who were chasing him was also an out-and-out ruthless person. Su Fan instantly guessed the other party's thoughts. They should think that he was casting spells across levels, and that the big move just now could not be used many times. In order to kill him, they even did not hesitate to fill in all the tribesmen. The Celestials were already scarce, but they would rather use their own lives in exchange for a chance to kill themselves. It must be said that although the Celestials were annoying, they were really united in terms of unity. Since you are looking for death, don't blame me for being ruthless. Come and die. Boy, do you want to play a big game? At this time, Su Fan received a thought in his mind, which was sent by the big boss of the demon sect. What the hell? What does this old guy mean? Senior. What exactly do you mean by playing a big game? Now Su Fan didn't believe this old guy at all. After those Celestials surround us, you activate the Blood Shadow Descending Array, and then, I can help you sacrifice some of them alive if I suffer a little. Screw you. When have you ever suffered a loss, old thing? However, it seems that this big boss of the witch sect in the upper realm prefers sacrifices alive. Then didn't he suffer a big loss when he sacrificed the Celestials alive several times before? There will be another chapter later, around 1 o'clock. Chapter 1068, if you are a bad person, you can't complain about society. Senior, forget it, how can I let you suffer a loss? After Su Fan sent a thought to the woman upper realm boss, the other party was silent for a long time. He sneered, this old man is really not a human being. How about this? If you activate the Blood Shadow Descending God Array, I will suffer a little loss and help you improve your realm to half-step refining emptiness. Fuck. The old man was anxious. Although this deal can be done, he didn't want to agree to it easily. He had to make up for the losses he had suffered before. Forget it, the realm is improved too fast, it will affect my Tao heart. After Su Fan sent this thought, the woman upper realm boss was speechless again. Do you know what situation you are facing? How can you care about your Tao heart when you are dead? Save your life first. After a while, the other party sent another thought. You make an offer, and we will discuss it. I knew that you, old Bang, are not a good bird. After that, the two of them fought for a while, and finally Su Fan got some back. Of course, Su Fan also knew that he was still at a disadvantage. But there was really no way to do this, because he was in control. If you are a bad person, you can't complain about society. Master, the nearest celestial race is less than 10 miles away from you. Su Fan received a thought from Yaksha in his mind, and he quickly released his consciousness and scanned the surroundings. Senior, I'm starting. Su Fan sent out a thought, and then his eyes condensed, and dense witchcraft patterns suddenly appeared all over his body. Boom, a blood-colored light column suddenly fell from the sky, completely enveloping him. Then, with Su Fan as the center, a blood-colored light formation with a radius of more than 100 miles was formed. Boom, an endless blood-colored storm was instantly stirred up around Su Fan, and it kept rolling up. Just now, his sword killed more than 10,000 celestial beings. The bloody corpses scattered around the sword mark were even minced meat. These blood sacrifice materials were enough to support him to launch such a large blood shadow descending out array. Countless bloodlines were seen like spirit snakes, winding and circling, being swallowed by this violent hurricane. After a while, a thick blood-colored mist had spread within a radius of 100 miles. The blood mist in the sky rolled up like a hurricane, and instantly swallowed up the celestial beings monks who rushed to Sufan. The celestial beings monks who rushed to the front were immediately trapped in the thick blood mist. They felt that their blood was ignited, boiling rapidly, and about to explode. These celestial beings monks hurriedly operated their skills or cast spells to try to stop the restlessness of their blood. But this violent blood-colored hurricane was spinning faster and faster, especially where Sufan was. It was like a huge centrifuge, sucking the blood of these celestial clan monks like crazy. After a while, the celestial clan who were at the front were like bloody people, and began to howl wildly. They could only watch their flesh and blood separate from their bodies, and then turn into pale white skeletons. The flesh and blood, magic power, and yin spirit of these celestial clan monks were swallowed up by the huge suction force into the violent blood-colored hurricane. Behind the main force of the celestial clan monks, Yao Zhuang and others watched their fellows turn into white bones one by one, and their eyes were red. Boom, boom, Yao Zhuang's eyes condensed, and suddenly several golden light pillars fell from the sky, turning into several golden armored warriors more than 10 feet tall. He pinched a finger gesture and pointed forward fiercely. Several majestic golden armored warriors immediately rushed to the front of the celestial clan cultivators, and rushed straight to the demonic body hundreds of feet tall in the distance. Not only him, but the other old monsters in the refining void realm also began to attack one after another, launching crazy attacks on Sufan's demonized body. However, several golden armored warriors over 10 feet tall were swept up in an instant as soon as they rushed into the blood-colored hurricane. The spells, talismans and other attacks launched by the celestial clan refining void realm cultivators would be swept up in an instant as soon as they touched the blood-colored storm. The big boss of the Wuman upper realm also fought hard to sacrifice more celestial clan cultivators alive. This violent blood-colored hurricane would not be good for even the refining void realm cultivators, not to mention that the ones rushing in the front were all celestial clan's transformation god realm cultivators. But at this time, the celestial clan cultivators showed their fearlessness and did not care about their own lives at all, and rushed into the blood-colored storm frantically. Finally, the violent blood-colored hurricane gradually subsided. It is estimated that the Wuman upper world boss also consumed a lot, so the blood-colored light column that fell from the sky also collapsed and dissipated. Seeing that the blood-colored hurricane disappeared, Yao Zhuang and others were immediately excited. The attack of other Shinran cultivators became more crazy. Countless shuttles ran wildly on the muddy rotten soil and soon rushed to Sufan's position. Facing the dense shuttles rushing in front of him, almost surrounding him in the middle, Sufan's huge demon body suddenly opened his arms, raised his head and roared loudly. Awoo! With him as the center, a pale white halo suddenly popped out of his body and instantly radiated to the surroundings. This move Sufan borrowed from the purifying world Red Lotus to eject the netherworld yin fire from his body, forming a rapidly enlarging fire ring. This attack method is most effective against group attacks. The pale white fire ring swept through the dense crowd of Shinran cultivators around Sufan. There were charred corpses all over the ground, and even if people were dead, the netherworld yin fire would still burn continuously, and it would not extinguish until you were burned to ashes. In the blink of an eye, the dense crowd of Shinran monks surrounding Sufan seemed to be wiped out of thin air. Although the pale white fire ring was getting weaker and weaker, it finally exploded. But the sparks produced by the explosion of the pale white fire ring immediately splashed into the crowd behind. The Shinran monks who were splashed by the sparks of the netherworld yin fire desperately slapped the sparks attached to them. But it would be better if they didn't slap them. Once they slapped the sparks, their hands were instantly ignited. Those sparks became bigger and bigger, and finally completely ignited the whole person, and the ground was full of Shinran monks rolling on the ground. Their fellow tribesmen used various means to try to extinguish the yin fire on them, but unfortunately, the more they helped, the more trouble they made, making the flames more fierce. Chapter 1069, all of them are the nemesis of the celestial race. The celestial clan monks who were fleeing in all directions were burned to ashes by the pale fire ring. Seeing their fellows in front of them turned into firemen and burned to ashes in an instant, this also broke the psychological defenses of the other Celestial Clan monks, and they turned around and fled. Yao Zhuang and others who followed behind were shocked. Yao Zhuang's eyes focused, and he saw the origin of the pale fire ring at a glance. This is the most vicious netherworld yin fire, which not only specifically counters spiritual energy and spiritual objects, but also the unique gold spiritual energy of the Celestial Clan, which is like a nemesis. When Su Fan's fire ring was ejected, the densely packed Celestial Clan monks who had gathered around him were instantly wiped out. Yao Zhuang and others never thought that this kid could actually control the netherworld yin fire. That is the most vicious female fire in the netherworld, which is like a natural enemy to the unique golden spiritual energy of the Celestial Clan. The netherworld yin fire. That's the netherworld yin fire, everyone retreat. Hurry and retreat, Yao Zhuang shouted loudly, but the formation of the surrounding Celestial Clan had already been messed up, and everyone was scrambling to flee. In a hurry, many shuttles collided with each other, throwing the Celestial Clan monks on the muddy rotten soil. There were also quite a few people who simply did not board the shuttles, and could only trudge madly on the muddy rotten soil. Yao Zhuang's voice was soon drowned in the noisy chaos. Bang! Bang! At this time, pale white fireballs were seen whistling from a distance and fell on the crowd of Celestial Clan monks who were fleeing everywhere. Boom! Boom! The pale white fireballs exploded in the crowd of Celestial Clan monks, and the pale white flames splashed everywhere. The sparks flying all over the sky splashed on the bodies of the surrounding Celestial Clan monks, and in a short while, they were set on fire. The screams of the Celestial Clan monks were everywhere. They kept turning into flaming firemen and then burned to ashes. Yao Zhuang and others also had the idea of retreating at this moment. They knew that they were fooled by this kid. It would be better to withdraw everyone for the time being. Who knows what tricks this cunning little devil has hidden. But it was too late to escape at this time. How could Su Fan let them do what they wanted? He had been waiting for this day for a long time. Ouch! Su Fan raised his arms to the sky and let out a terrifying roar. Then he raised his arms to both sides. The rotten oil in the distance was seen boiling like a pot, and then slowly began to wriggle. Gradually, the rotten oil within a radius of 100 miles turned into a raging earth wave several feet high like a tsunami, raging from all directions. The Celestial Clan monks who were fleeing in all directions were all frightened out of their wits by the oncoming annihilation force. This terrifying earth wave made all the Celestial Clan monks feel a sense of precariousness in the midst of the flooding and sweeping vibrations of the heaven and earth. Some timid Celestial Clan monks desperately launched the escape technique, trying to escape from here immediately. But as soon as their figures disappeared, they crashed into a mud wall that rose to the sky in the distance, and then turned into meat mud and slid down the mud wall. At this moment, the earth wave like a terrifying tide swept around, swallowing up all objects within a radius of hundreds of miles. Although the Celestial Clan monks used various means and took out their best life-saving means, it was useless and they were all swept into this vast earth wave. Even if only a little bit of the netherworld filthy earth stuck to the body, it would instantly penetrate the bone marrow like a maggot in the tarsal bone, until finally all your flesh, blood and bones were corroded. Many Celestial Clan monks tried to use their power to resist the erosion of the netherworld filthy earth, but using mana was fine. Once mana was input, it was like pouring oil into fire, which only contributed to the corrosiveness of the netherworld filthy earth. Yao Zhuang and others saw the raging waves of earth coming from all around, and they knew that today was probably a bad day. Who is this kid? He could actually control the netherworld filthy earth and the netherworld yin fire at the same time. These two vicious things were the nemesis of the Celestial Clan. Yao Zhuang knew that if he forced his way out now, he would probably have no chance. The only way now was to kill this kid. Only by killing him could we save those of our clansmen who were trapped in dire straits. Thinking of this, he roared. Let's sacrifice, we must kill him today. After saying this, Yao Zhuang raised his head suddenly, and his eyes suddenly shot out a dazzling light. He opened his arms, his long golden hair danced in the wind, and he chanted strange spells, and his whole body was also shining with dazzling golden light. Hundreds of other Shinran clans Liangsu realm old monsters were also doing the same thing, with their arms spread out and their faces turned up, with the golden light all over their bodies. Boom! With a deafening roar, an extremely thick golden light column suddenly fell from the sky. Within the golden light column, it seemed that a huge figure had descended. As the extremely thick golden light column gradually dissipated, the huge figure also appeared. This was a golden armored warrior hundreds of feet tall, wearing a golden battle armor all over his body, holding a fangyan huoji dozens of feet long in his hand, looking majestic. The golden armored warrior was wearing a mask, and his appearance could not be seen clearly, but Su Fan felt a proud will from the gap in the other party's armor. Moreover, the golden armored warrior was filled with an extremely powerful aura, giving people a trembling feeling of boundless fear. Su Fan had seen this thing once a long time ago, but the strength of that golden armored warrior was probably not even worthy of carrying shoes for today. At this moment, Yao Zhuang and hundreds of other Shinran clan's refining Void Realm cultivators all had pale faces, with no trace of blood. One look at their state showed that they had exhausted their vitality, and their ki, blood, and mana were already at the point of exhaustion. However, when they saw the golden armored warrior, who was finally summoned by them, they all breathed a sigh of relief. Bang! Bang! Yao Zhuang and the others shook their bodies for a few times, and could no longer hold on, and sat down on the muddy rotten soil. The huge golden armored warrior, with a gleam of light in the gap of his visor, stared at the huge demon body hundreds of feet tall opposite. At this time, Su Fan also looked at the golden armored warrior opposite with the same eyes. The aura of this guy was too strong, and it was even infinitely close to the aura of the big boss of the fusion realm. As soon as he thought of it, a huge black sword suddenly appeared in his hand. He gathered all his aura, held the sword tightly with both hands, and stood there quietly, exuding the calm and steady power of a mountain. Kill! The several-foot-tall golden armored warrior raised the golden fangyan huoji and slashed down fiercely. Chapter 1070 I didn't intend to fight you head-on. Su Fan raised the pitch-black sword above his head with both hands and slashed it down fiercely. Swish! With a sharp whistling sound, a sharp sword light flashed, carrying a majestic murderous aura, whistling through the void. Boom boom! With a loud noise that shook the world, the golden halberd and the pitch-black sword collided fiercely like Mars hitting the earth, instantly causing a huge explosion that almost overturned the entire sky. The aftermath of the terrifying explosion was like a tsunami, sweeping across a radius of hundreds of miles. The incomparably majestic aura of destruction almost shattered the void, and the space was like a mirror with ripples, and dense spider web-like cracks spread all over the sky. The annihilation force formed by the terrifying shock wave raged wildly, and everything around was instantly crushed to pieces by this terrifying force. The aftermath of the explosion also set off a world-destroying storm. Yao Zhuang and others who were sitting cross-legged not far away were also swept into this terrifying torrent like fallen leaves. Even Su Fan was knocked back several miles by this terrifying impact. The golden armored warrior, who was hundreds of feet tall, was also knocked back dozens of steps by a huge force, and then he barely managed to stabilize his body. Through the gap in the golden armored warrior's face armor, he could feel that the other party was angry and exuded a fierce momentum. Cut! The golden armored warrior raised the golden halberd in his hand again, which was dozens of feet long, and chopped it down fiercely. A boundless and vast momentum rushed into the sky, as if the light that cut the whole world in half rose from the sky and whistled down. Su Fan's eyes condensed, and his whole body was filled with endless blood light. Boom! The boundless blood-colored aura rushed into the sky. He held the hilt of the sword tightly with both hands, and chopped it down fiercely. This sword chopped down with a strong force of law, and the fierce sword light seemed to split the whole world in half. The mysterious power of the law twisted the surrounding space, and the invisible ripples vibrated in all directions, roaring down like a tide. Boom! With a dull roar like the destruction of heaven and earth, the whole world seemed to collapse, just like rolling up the visible tide. Time and space seemed to be intertwined and chaotic. It was as if an extremely huge destruction had descended, and the whole world changed color, and sand and rocks flew. The sky was shattered, and the dark sky was torn apart. Under the unparalleled impact, the trembling space shook violently, and the muddy rotten soil on the ground broke into layers of cracks crisscrossing dozens of miles, as if the end of the world had come. Su Fan was once again shaken by an extremely huge and majestic force, and flew upside down, flying several miles away before he could barely stabilize his body. The huge golden armored warrior was also shaken back a few miles away, and stumped his feet hard and stepped into the rotten soil before he stopped. Su Fan sneered. He just casually performed two sword moves containing the power of the law. He found that the huge golden armored warrior opposite him was stronger than him, and the golden armor on his body and the halberd in his hand were also extraordinary. But I didn't want to fight you head-on. At this time, The golden-armored warrior on the opposite side raised the golden halberd again. Su Fan's eyes condensed, and the rotten soil under the feet of the golden-armored warrior on the opposite side suddenly squirmed. Before his golden halberd could cut down, his huge body hundreds of feet tall began to sink into the rotten soil. The golden-armored warrior suddenly inserted the halberd into the ground, trying to use the halberd to support him to pull his feet out of the rotten soil, but even the golden halberd sank into the muddy rotten soil. Not only that, dense mud snakes also snaked up along the golden-armored warrior's legs, and covered most of his body in a short while. The netherworld filth attached to his golden armor, constantly corroding it, making a series of hissing sounds. The pungent thick white smoke filled the air, and in a flash, the golden armor was corroded into pits and bumps. The golden-armored warrior suddenly raised his head and roared, and his whole body was suddenly shining with golden light. Buzz! The huge golden-armored warrior's body spun on the spot like a gyroscope, and suddenly threw the netherworld filth attached to the golden armor off. The body of the golden-armored warrior also whooshed up from the ground, and the huge body hundreds of feet high soared into the sky. But just as he jumped out of the muddy rotten soil, he saw a huge demon body wrapped in pale white flames roaring towards him. Boom! In a hurry, the golden-armored warrior was hit hard by Su Fan's Ziongshan KO. The golden-armored warrior's huge body, which was several hundred feet long, fell heavily to the ground, and the muddy and rotten soil splashed everywhere. Don't forget that Su Fan's demonic body was wrapped in the blazing netherworld yin fire. The yin fires were entangled like thorns, and they entangled the golden-armored warrior in circles like ferocious venomous snakes. The golden-armored warrior quickly got up from the ground and desperately slapped the pale white flames on his body. However, the spiritual energy emitted by the golden armor on the golden-armored warrior was like a peerless delicacy, and was bitten and corroded by the venomous netherworld yin fires. At this time, Su Fan did not pursue the victory, but opened his arms and raised them up fiercely. Boom! A blazing netherworld yin fire instantly rushed up from the feet of the golden-armored warrior, turning into a raging sea of fire, burning the golden armor crazily, making a creepy hissing sound. At this time, the golden-armored warrior had to spend a lot of energy every moment to resist the burning of wave after wave of netherworld yin fire. Netherworld yin fire is extremely vicious. Even if the golden armor is extremely extraordinary, it still can't resist for long. In just a few breaths, the golden armor on the golden-armored warrior has been corroded and riddled with holes, and it is possible to completely lose its spirituality at any time. It should be almost done. Thinking of this, Su Fan kicked the ground with his right foot, and the huge demon body disappeared instantly. Ziongshan KO, a few miles away, Su Fan's demon body of hundreds of feet hit the golden-armored warrior fiercely. Boom! With a deafening roar, the huge body of the golden-armored warrior was knocked into the air. Su Fan chased after him like a shadow, raising his right foot high. Dragon elephant step. His right foot fiercely chopped the golden-armored warrior who was still flying in the air, and the body of hundreds of feet fell heavily to the ground, making a terrifying and extremely loud noise. Chapter 1071 I am heading down the evil path and there is no return. At this moment, the golden armor of the golden warrior was in a terrible state. Not only was it corroded by the netherworld dirt and netherworld yin fire, but it was also shattered by Su Fan's several heavy blows. Now the body of the golden warrior was in an irregular twisted shape, and he was lying on the ground struggling to stand up. Su Fan walked over, grabbed the gap in the golden warrior's armor, which was hundreds of feet high, and suddenly lifted him up from the ground and raised him high above his head, and then threw him hard to the ground. Boom! Boom! He kept slamming the golden warrior to the ground, and each time he smashed a huge pit in the muddy rotten soil. Crash! Finally, with a crisp sound, the golden warrior who is hundreds of feet tall was smashed to pieces by him, and the golden armor was torn into pieces. Swoosh! At this time, a golden smoke suddenly rushed out from the gap of a piece of scattered armor. I've been waiting for you to come out. Then a huge demon hand wrapped in the netherworld yin fire grabbed the golden smoke in its hand with a snap. Su Fan looked at the golden smoke struggling in the netherworld yin fire. At this time, it had turned into the shape of a person and made a shrill scream like a tear. It was not until the golden smoke in the demon's hand was dying that Su Fan imprisoned it. He summoned Yaksha, and then threw the golden yin god in his hand over, asking him to give it to the evil Buddha Wangda to cook it well. Su Fan turned his head and looked at Yao Zhuang and others in the distance. In order to summon this golden armored warrior, they launched a collective sacrifice and overdrew all their vitality. Now the strength of these masters in the refining void realm is nothing. Seeing that the golden armored warrior they collectively sacrificed to come down had been torn into pieces by Su Fan. Maybe they have accepted their fate, and they all sat there with dull faces. There was no way. The surroundings were all filled with huge waves of netherworld filth, surging like a surging tide. Even when they were at their peak, they might not be able to escape, not to mention that they had already overdrawn all their vitality. However, Su Fan guessed that a golden armored warrior summoned by this group of people must be extraordinary. It must be a clone of a certain celestial race upper realm boss, who used to be at least a fusion realm boss. Unfortunately, he descended across domains, and his strength was greatly weakened by the influence of the domain rules. If he was not good at controlling the netherworld filth and netherworld yin fire that specifically countered the celestial race, Su Fan was afraid that he would not be able to take him down. Damn, he offended another celestial race upper realm boss. Whatever happens. Anyway, too many lice don't bite, and too many debts don't worry. Hasn't he offended enough people? Boy, blood sacrifice. At this time, a thought came to his mind, which was sent by the witch clan upper realm boss. This old bitch has been waiting. Su Fan thought for a moment, and then the vertical eye on his forehead suddenly started to spin. Then he saw an extremely powerful divine consciousness, spreading all around. Yao Zhuang and others in the distance only felt that their eyes went dark, and then they knew nothing. Su Fan asked Yaksha to take these people back to the Juan's secret realm, extract their souls alive, and then hand them all over to the evil Buddha Wangda. After he explained this matter, his eyes condensed. Su Fan completely let go of his divine consciousness, and he could see everything within hundreds of miles around. Now, tens of thousands of Shinran cultivators have long been corroded by the overwhelming netherworld filth, leaving only bloody corpses and broken limbs. Senior, let's start. Su Fan sent a thought to the woman upper realm boss, and then his eyes condensed, and dense witch divine patterns suddenly appeared all over his body. Boom, with a dull loud noise, an extremely thick blood-colored light column fell from the sky and completely enveloped him. Boom, with Su Fan as the center, a blood-colored witch formation of hundreds of miles in size was formed in an instant. A violent and fierce wind suddenly aroused around him, and it rolled up wildly around him. The scattered celestial beings within a radius of hundreds of miles turned into strands of bright red blood, which were rolled up from the ground by this violent hurricane, and then began to gather around Su Fan. The boundless blood-colored storm spun wildly around Su Fan, and after being continuously purified by the blood shadow god descending formation, it swallowed the purest blood into Su Fan's body. Finally, the huge witch blood formation disappeared, and the blood-colored light column that fell from the sky also disappeared. Su Fan opened the game panel, and his realm was improved a lot, and he had reached the late stage of the transformation realm. The progress was really fast. It's only been a few days, and he saved hundreds of years of hard training time for other cultivators. I'm going to the evil way and I won't return. In the past, he always rejected the idea of blood sacrifice to improve strength. So for so many years, no matter how many people he sacrificed, he would not devour the blood of other cultivators, because he was afraid that his progress would be too fast and affect his Tao heart. But now Su Fan is facing the pursuit of all the celestial beings in the middle world, and his situation is extremely embarrassing. Only the big brothers in the fusion realm of small worlds like Jiaxu realm will be afraid of him, a person with a demon seed. But this is a middle world, especially for a united race like the celestial beings. Even if they offend Su Fan, a person with a demon seed, their fellow tribesmen in the upper world will support them. This time, he killed so many celestial elites from various middle worlds in the netherworld of Mangutan, which can be regarded as breaking the sky. How can the big brothers of the celestial beings in various middle worlds let him continue to live? Fortunately, Su Fan is in the Mangutan of the Yuan Moji of the demon sect, and the big brothers of the fusion realm of the celestial beings in other worlds cannot come. If it were in other middle worlds, Su Fan would have run away long ago. So the most urgent task now is to improve his strength as soon as possible, even if it means becoming a real evil cultivator. Su Fan will not hesitate. Who cares about the Dao heart when his life is in danger? Especially after this experience, the top bosses of the celestial race will definitely not send their own people to fill the hole. Su Fan guessed that they would definitely send the fusion realm bosses to hunt him down next. Although the fusion realm bosses of the celestial race were rejected by the meta demon realm, they can hire fusion realm bosses of other races to kill him. This is not the Jiaosu realm, and the Fusion Realm bosses are afraid of the demon seed in his body. Many Fusion Realm bosses in those medium worlds will definitely not be able to resist the temptation when facing the high price reward of the celestial race. It is still necessary to improve your reputation so that they dare not easily provoke you when they hear your name. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 1072. Tell them to get out of here as far as possible. At this moment, King Sushai Anzan and others who were hiding in the distance were all stunned to see all this. Especially when Su Fan dismantled the golden armored warrior into a pile of scrap metal, they all gasped. King Sushai Anzan and others could of course see the footsteps of the golden armored warrior, and they could also feel the extremely strong pressure from him. Anyway, even if they joined forces, they might not be able to withstand the attack of this golden armored warrior. Who would have thought that it only took a short while to be hammered to pieces by this kid? There were also tens of thousands of elite Shinran from various worlds who were killed by him. This was a thing that broke the sky. Compared with the human race, the demon race and other races, the Shinran race has average reproduction ability and has always been very scarce. Now tens of thousands of Shinran above the level of transformation have all been defeated in the dark and dangerous land of Barbarian Bone Heaven. For the Shinran, it is definitely a serious injury. Who is this kid? He can actually control the netherworld yin fire and netherworld filthy earth. Who else could he be? Anyone with a demon seed is not simple. Such a person is a disaster wherever he goes. This kid is a disaster. Should we drive him away? How? Where to drive him away? Anyway, it has nothing to do with us. There is no need to provoke such a disaster. Taoist fellow Qing Su listened to the discussions of several people around him and couldn't help but smile bitterly. He had long guessed that this kid was not simple, but he didn't expect that he still underestimated him. So many Shinran cultivators died at once. This matter is not trivial. Once it is spread out, it will definitely cause a sensation in all the middle worlds. Look, what is he doing? At this time, an old monster in the refining void realm of the demon sect pointed to the distance and shouted. Qing Sushai Anzan and others heard it and hurriedly looked in the direction of his finger. They saw dense ghosts floating in the distance. These ghosts kept throwing pieces of broken limbs and bones on the ground, and soon they piled up high. Qing Sushai Anzan smiled bitterly and said, "This kid wants to build a genuine human bone tower here." He had seen several videos of Su Fan before and knew that this kid started to act like a demon again. This is the evil way of cultivation. Should we go over and persuade him? If he really uses the bones of tens of thousands of Shinran people to build a genuine human bone tower, the Shinran people will fight him to the death. Hearing the words of an old monster in the refining void realm of the demon sect, the other old monsters of the demon sect all sneered. It's as if the Shinran tribe will let him go if this kid doesn't build this genuine human bone tower. I think this kid did the right thing. He just came from the small world and the Shinran tribe issued a bounty to hunt him down. I wouldn't do it if it were me. The Shinran tribe always protects their shortcomings. Even if he lets these people go, will the Shinran tribe let him go? Yes, I like this kid. Either he doesn't do it, or he does it to the extreme. It's cruel enough. Qing Sushai Anzan also thought so. After all, he is also a cultivator of the demon sect. Maybe the disciples of the immortal sect would think that Su Fan was cruel and violent. But the disciples of the demon sect like this kid's style. However, Qing Sushai Anzan was more concerned about the impact of this kid causing such a big mess in the netherworld on the several demon sects nearby. After thinking about it, Qing Sushai Anzan finally decided to report the matter to the higher-ups and let the decision be made by the high-level officials of the demon sects. Finally, after the unremitting efforts of countless ghost soldiers and ghost generals, the prototype of the genuine human bone tower was finally built. Master, the human bone tower has been built. At this time, Yaksha floated to his side and paid homage to him. Su Fan nodded, then waved his hand gently. Boom. Then a ball of pale white flames rose from the bottom of the genuine human bone tower, slowly turning into a sky-high flame that burned fiercely. Su Fan controlled the fire with his divine mind, and then took the netherworld yin fire into his body. The genuine human bone tower, which was burned by the netherworld yin fire, had all its broken limbs and bones sintered together, looking crystal clear, like a perfect work of art. However, standing in front of this genuine human bone tower, One could clearly feel a hint of gloomy atmosphere. Su Fan admired his masterpiece for a while, and then took back the several image-retaining instruments hovering in the air. He took off the jade talisman of Ruai Pavilion from his waist and sent a message to Qin Yu. Qin Yu, I have a new image here, can you arrange someone to come to Mangutian? What image? I built another Jingwen human bone tower. What? Taoist friend, you won't kill all the Shinran people in the various medium-sized worlds again. It can be seen from Qin Yu's message that even Qin Yu didn't believe that Su Fan alone could kill tens of thousands of Shinran cultivators. That was tens of thousands of elite Shinran cultivators from various medium-sized worlds. Just a bunch of chickens and dogs. After Su Fan sent this message, he might not be able to accept it for a while, so it took a long time for Qin Yu to reply. Devours, I will entrust this matter to other people in the organization, and I will contact you when the time comes. Okay, contact me when the people arrive. Devours, this matter will definitely spread to all the medium worlds, and Ruai Pavilion should ask me to contact you. Go to hell. What are you thinking about? Who do you think of me? If Ruai Pavilion comes to you, tell them to get out of here as far as possible. Well, Devours, I understand. Su Fan chatted with Qin Yu for a few more words, and then put away the jade talisman of Ruai Pavilion. It is definitely impossible to join Ruai Pavilion again, and it is impossible in this life. Su Fan still doesn't believe it. There must be more than one intelligence organization like Ruai Pavilion in the medium world. As long as he makes a great reputation in the medium world, various organizations will naturally want him to join. Sister Zhen, hurry up, we should go. Su Fan sent a thought to Sister Zhen. The girl was commanding countless ghost soldiers and ghost generals under his command to dig 3 feet deep in the ground to collect spoils. Master, give me another half hour. This little money grubber, if she doesn't pick up anything when she goes out, she will think she has lost something. Well, then I'll give you another half hour. Su Fan sent a thought to Sister Zhen. Then turned his head and glanced in the direction of Qing Su Xianzhen and others in the distance. In fact, he had already known that several old monsters in the refining void realm of the demon sect were spying on him. However, Su Fan and Qing Su Xianzhen and others had similar ideas, that is, they would not interfere with each other. Chapter 1073 You are such a generous guy. Half an hour later, the money grubber Sister Zhen finally came back. Master, we've made a fortune this time, you know I. Before she could finish, Su Fan interrupted her with a wave of his hand. Get out of here, we should go. After being scolded, Zhen stuck out her tongue, and then turned into a ghost and returned to the portable secret realm. Su Fan turned his head and glanced at the direction of the old monsters of the demon sect, then waved at Yaksha. Seeing his figure disappear in the dark night, Qing Su Xianzhen and others came to the bottom of the Jingwen human bone tower. They looked up at the human bone tower with a gloomy atmosphere, and even though several people were from the demon sect, they couldn't help but take a breath. They had heard before that this little devil sacrificed more than 10 million Shinran cultivators alive. When they first heard the news, they didn't believe it. It wasn't until they saw the Jingwen human bone tower with their own eyes that they completely believed it. In fact, how could ordinary celestial clan cultivators from tens of thousands of small worlds be compared with tens of thousands of cultivators above the divine transformation realm from various medium-sized worlds? Qing Su Xianzhen took out the communication array from his ring and sent a message to Jikong Divine Clan, telling him exactly what had just happened. After a while, Jikong Divine Clan replied to the message. We should not get involved in the affairs of the Celestial Clan and that kid. We can try to contact him, but try not to make it public. Looking at the message sent by Jikong Divine Clan, Qing Su Xianzhen frowned immediately. It's easy to understand not to get involved in the affairs of the Celestial Clan and that kid, but what does it mean to let him try to contact the other party? But how dare he disobey Jikong Divine Clan's words? I will follow the Divine Clan's decree. After Qing Su Xianzhen sent this message, he put away the communication array. But he was still thinking about Jikong Divine Clan's meaning in his mind, and he couldn't figure it out after thinking about it. At this time, Qing Su Xianzhen's heart moved and thought of something. He guessed that there must be a big change in the netherworld. Once the kind of war in history really happened, anything could happen in the future. Su Fan asked Yaksha to drive the 9-yin flying shuttle GTI and drove it in the netherworld for several months in a row before finding a place to hide. Of course, he arranged a lot of blood and key samples along the way to confuse the divination of the Shinran clan monks. Su Fan and Yaksha entered the Juan's secret realm together, came to the stone platform in the valley, and sat cross-legged next to the oil lamp magic weapon. Boy, you are back. Seeing Su Fan coming back, the evil Buddha Wang sat up from the recliner and waved his hand to send away the group of little ghost slaves around him. Have you asked anything about the yin gods I gave you? After hearing Su Fan's words, the evil Buddha Wang laughed. Boy, you're in trouble. The golden armored warrior you killed is the clone of a big boss from the upper realm of the celestial race. Su Fan was stunned when he heard this and said, can you descend to our world? Evil Buddha Wang just shook his head and said, that's not possible, but the celestial race is famous for being narrow-minded. When you break through the cave void realm in the future, this world will not be able to accommodate you. When you go to the upper realm, the big boss of the celestial race will definitely cause trouble for you. Hearing what evil Buddha Wang said, Su Fan laughed. Even if that big boss causes trouble for me, it will be thousands of years later. Why think about these trivial things now? You kid are really careless. I'm not sure if I can live for thousands of years, so how can I care about those things? Besides, I have a demon seed and someone is behind me. If it doesn't work, I'll go to the woman realm. He doesn't believe that the big boss of the celestial race dares to go to the woman realm to make trouble. If I hadn't been more open-minded, I would have been so frustrated that I would have died. The evil Buddha Wang laughed and then pointed at him with his finger. You are so cruel. You killed all the celestials from the various medium-sized worlds. Each of them has a family behind them, and some of them even have extraordinary origins. You have offended the celestials. He said that if I let them go, the celestials would not continue to hunt them down. Anyway, we have already formed a blood feud that will never end. If I don't kill them, how can they let me go? This is not the small world of Jioxiji. The old monsters in the fusion realm of the medium-sized world will not be afraid of the demon seeds in your body. After listening to the words of the evil Buddha Wangda, Su Fan sighed secretly. His guess was right. The most urgent thing is to improve his strength as soon as possible. Although Mangushan does not allow the fusion masters of the celestials to enter, they will definitely hire the old monsters in the fusion realm of other races to hunt him down. The crisis is still not resolved. If it is an evil old demon, he has the strength to fight. If it is a human or demon master of the combined realm, if he is really found by them, he may not even have the ability to resist. No, didn't the master of the upper realm of the woman say that he would help him to improve his realm to the half-step refining realm? But his current realm has just broken through the late stage of the refining realm, and is still far from the half-step refining realm. Senior, didn't you say that if I help you activate the blood shadow descending Gatorade to sacrifice those celestial beings, you will help me improve my realm to the half-step refining realm? Thinking of this, Su Fan sent a thought to the master of the upper realm of the woman. Boy, why are you in such a hurry? Don't we have to do it step by step? Don't talk nonsense. You didn't say that at the time. This old bastard actually wanted to fool him. Senior, when we made the deal, we said it very clearly. After a long while, the other party replied to him with a thought. How about this? The materials for the blood sacrifice last time were a little short. As long as you can gather the corpses of 3 fusion realm monks, I will help you break through to the realm of refining emptiness. Now Su Fan didn't believe even a single punctuation mark in what this old man said. Besides, where can he find 3 corpses of fusion realm masters? Not to mention 3, he can't even get 1. Do you fucking think the corpses of fusion realm masters are cabbages? Senior, you are a little bit untrustworthy. Su Fan didn't tolerate the other party's bad habits, and directly confronted him. Why am I untrustworthy? When have I ever broken my promise in our previous transactions? How about this? I will suffer a little loss, and you can find another 10,000 corpses of the transformation realm monks, and I will help you break through to the half-step refining emptiness realm. Hearing this woman upper realm master say this, he knew in his heart that this old man felt that he had lost. But he didn't want to spit out the benefits he had swallowed. Chapter 1074, finally got some bad reputation. The woman upper realm boss was playing rogue with Su Fan, but he really had no way to deal with it, which made him very angry. Perhaps seeing that Su Fan had not responded for a long time, the woman upper realm boss was a little bit exhausted. How about this? 3 corpses of fusion realm cultivators, I will help you break through the conditions of the refining realm without changing, and I will teach you a woman's secret technique. That should be fine. Su Fan received the other party's thoughts in his mind, and his mind was somewhat loosened. In fact, The difference between the late stage of the spirit transformation realm and the half-step refining realm is really not that big for him. The main thing is that the transaction between the two parties suffered a loss, and he felt like he was cut by someone. Su Fan is still quite interested in the secrets of the Wu Dao, because the system of the Wu Dao is completely different from that of the Taoism. So many times, when Taoist cultivators suddenly encounter the secrets of the Wu Dao, they are often caught off guard. Despite this, Su Fan still wants to hold on a little longer and try to make up for it as much as possible. 2 secret arts. After a while, the woman upper world boss finally sent a thought. Okay. 2 secret arts. After receiving the thought from this old bastard, Su Fan's mood improved a little. Senior, what secret arts do you have? Should I choose one? After a while, the woman upper world boss sent a thought to Su Fan, which included more than a dozen Wu Dao secrets. Perhaps knowing Su Fan's current situation, the dozen Wu Dao secrets he sent over were mostly Wu Dao secrets that could hide or disrupt the secrets of heaven. After careful selection, Su Fan finally chose 2 Wu Dao secrets. They are Blood Moon Reversal of Yin and Yang Hiding Method and Phantom Lua Wuxiang Moving Stars and Changing Constellations Method. Blood Moon Reversal of Yin and Yang Hiding Method is, as the name suggests, a Wu Dao secret technique that can hide, but it requires a woman blood formation to cooperate with the casting. Once this woman secret technique is activated, one can effectively hide one's breath. The art of moving stars and changing the stars is quite advanced, and the threshold for entry into the secret art is also quite high. To perform this secret art of the Wu Dao, one must learn a lot of knowledge about astrology, and then cast the spell with the help of the woman blood formation. Once cast, it can disrupt one's own ki, and even block the divination results of the monks of the divination Dao. Anyway, it is very awesome. However, the shortcomings of the 2 secret arts are also obvious. They must be arranged through a woman blood formation, and can only be cast with the help of the formation, and they also need a lot of monks' corpses as materials to start the formation. This is a disadvantage for other Wu Dao monks, but for Su Fan, it is not a problem at all. Su Fan himself is a human flesh god tower, and it is not too simple to arrange the woman blood formation. It takes a lot of monks' flesh and blood to start the formation, which is even more not a problem. In the following days, he will learn to master these 2 secret arts of the Wu Dao in the portable secret realm. Now his situation is too embarrassing. He has to face the threat of the celestial race at any time. The next step will even make him face the pursuit of the big boss of the fusion realm. Therefore, it is very important for him to master these 2 powerful Wu Dao secret arts. Just when Su Fan was hiding in the netherworld and concentrating on learning the 2 witchcraft secrets, the news that tens of thousands of Shinran cultivators from various medium-sized worlds were annihilated finally spread. When the cultivators from various worlds heard the news, they were immediately shocked. Everyone's first feeling was disbelief. How could it be possible? There were tens of thousands of elite Shinran cultivators from various worlds, including more than 1,000 old monsters in the refining void realm, and even dozens of cultivators in the half-step fusion realm such as Yao Huang. You said that all these people died at the hands of an evil cultivator from a small world. Don't you know how to draft your bragging? But this news was later confirmed by several high-level bosses of the demon sect, which confirmed the matter. This also made all the cultivators in the world stunned. The more explosive news is that this little devil actually comprehended the state of mind of the great Dao. And in the netherworld, he left 2 sword marks containing a trace of the state of mind of the great Dao. What kind of background does this kid have? And he can actually kill so many elite Shinran cultivators alone. Su Fan has been in the middle world for so long, and finally he has earned some bad reputation. Moreover, the monks in various worlds have also become very interested in his origins, and Su Fan's life resume has also been dug up by those who are interested. When they learned about Su Fan's information, they couldn't help but smack their lips. This little devil is simply a demon who has not appeared for tens of thousands of years. Not only that, many monks have rushed to the netherworld of Mangutian to watch and speculate on the 2 sword marks that contain a trace of the artistic conception of the great Dao. Of course, this incident not only attracted countless people, but for the Shinran clan, which lost tens of thousands of elite monks, it was definitely a great shame. After the Shinran clan issued a bounty hunting order within the clan, the Shinran clan monks from various worlds came spontaneously. Moreover, all the Shinran clan monks who came to participate in the hunting of Su Fan were of extraordinary origin, and almost every one of them was a person that their families had high hopes for. Letting them come to participate in the hunting of Sufan was actually for gilding. After all, it was too easy for all the Celestial Clan cultivators to deal with an evil cultivator from a small world. Who would have thought that they would all be defeated in the Netherworld, which was a huge blow to the Celestial Clan. The Celestial Clan was already sparsely populated, and they lost tens of thousands of Celestial Clan cultivators in the Netherworld, and they were all the elites of the Celestial Clan from various worlds. It was a serious blow. Imagine that tens of thousands of Celestial Clan elite cultivators were shattered at the same time in one day. What kind of scene would this be for the Celestial Clan from various worlds? It would not be an exaggeration to say that the sky was falling. Soon after the news spread, a large number of Celestial Clan cultivators began to rush to the Kiwi market. Huan Kong, who stayed in the market, never thought that he would be excluded, but he was lucky enough to save his life. Of course, he was not doing well during this period. He was summoned again and again by his fellows from various worlds almost every day. And every time he kept repeating the same words, his mouth was almost worn out. Because Mangutian explicitly refused the entry of the Shinran clan's fusion realm masters, these Shinran clan monks who rushed to Kiwi market had no intention of entering the Netherworld. What a joke! Tens of thousands of people have already been defeated in the Netherworld. This is a lesson for them. If they go in, can they kill that little devil? It's not certain whether they can walk out of the Netherworld alive. Chapter 1075. Who can tolerate this? Su Fan knew nothing about what was happening outside. He now stayed in the secret realm every day to figure out the two new witchcraft secrets. After all, they were secrets taught by the big boss of the upper realm of the witch sect, and they were indeed extraordinary. The blood moon reversal yin and yang hiding method was okay. It was a secret method that was easy to learn but difficult to master. Su Fan quickly got started, but he knew very well in his heart that he still had a long way to go to fully master this witchcraft secret. The Yalua Wongxiang star shifting and changing stars was more troublesome, and now he was just barely getting started. After all, the sky in the Netherworld is always gray, especially at night when you can't see your hand in front of you. Don't even think about looking at the stars in the sky, you can't even see the people a few meters away. Fortunately, Su Fan simulated a Yuan motion star field map through some star maps in ancient books, which was considered to be a stumbling entry. Although he had mastered the two witchcraft secrets, it would be impossible to use them now. At midnight, Su Fan sat cross-legged beside the pond next to the thatched cottage with his eyes closed. With him as the center, a blood-colored witch formation was formed within a few feet of his body. A simulated star map of the Yuan demon realm floated on the witch formation, surrounding him. After a while, he slowly opened his eyes. Su Fan let out a long breath, raised his hand and waved it, dispelling the blood-colored witch formation, and the star map of the Yuan demon realm also dissipated. Master, are you done with your training? The meal is ready. At this time, Sister Zhen floated over from the art and hugged his shoulders affectionately. Sister Zhen was exhausted during this period of time, sorting out various spoils day and night. Even Li Chongxia was infected by her and now he is like a little money grubber. Faced with the mountains of spoils, the two of them were like crazy, almost sleeping there every day. Su Fan was about to stand up to eat, and the jade talisman of Ruai Pavilion on his waist suddenly vibrated slightly. He took off the jade talisman of Ruai Pavilion from his waist, glanced at the message sent by Qin Yu, and then waved his hand to Sister Zhen. Daoao, the information I just got is that the Shinran clan seems to have hired several evil old demons in the fusion realm to go to the Mangutian in the Yuan Motian to hunt you down. This is similar to what he had guessed before. The fusion realm masters of the Shinran clan cannot enter the Mangutian, and no matter how many Liangsu realm cultivators in the clan come, they will just be sent to the netherworld of Mangutian. So they will definitely hire fusion realm masters from other races to come to the netherworld of Mangutian to hunt him down. Thinking of this, Su Fan also became nervous. Even if it was an evil old demon in the fusion realm, he would have no choice but to run. Even if he broke through to the half-step Liangsu realm, he would still be sent to the fusion realm masters. Of course, compared to the evil old demon in the fusion realm, if he was forced into a corner, he would dare to fight the other party head-on. How come your intelligence is so fast this time, Daoao? I just developed a good subordinate in Yuan motion. He has already arrived at Kiwi market and will enter the netherworld in the next few days. Just give him the video, It must be said that Qin Yu's ability is no problem. If he is given a certain amount of time, he will definitely establish his own intelligence network in the medium world in the future. You let him come, but I won't show up. I will let my ghost slave go. After Su Fan sent this message, he sent him another coordinate. No problem, I will contact you when he arrives there. Well, contact me then. Do you know when those fusion realm monks hired by the celestial race will arrive at Kiwi Market? According to the information provided by my subordinate, the celestial race has just started this matter. I estimate that it will take at least half a year or a year. After reading the message sent by Qin Yu, Su Fan breathed a sigh of relief. It seems that he must use this half year to move deeper into the netherworld and try to find a safe place to hide. Then, he should try his best to thoroughly master the two secret arts of the Wudao, Blood Moon Reversal Yin and Yang hiding method, and Heluo Wongxiang shifting stars and changing stars technique. By the way, the top leaders of the organization talked to me and they want to contact you. Get lost. Su Fan was hunted down by the celestial race as soon as he arrived in the medium world. It was when he needed intelligence support the most, and Ruai Pavilion actually kicked him out of the organization. Who can tolerate this? Get lost. Tell them to get lost, as far away as possible. Well, fellow Taoist, I know what to do. In fact, Qin Yu really wanted Su Fan to return to Ruai Pavilion. In the past, he could have negotiated a favorable condition with the organization. But seeing Su Fan's attitude, he gave up the idea. In fact, ever since Su Fan killed tens of thousands of elite cultivators of the celestial race in the netherworld, the news that he had just spread out had already regretted it. Of course, they would not care about Su Fan's life or death, but such a big thing would increase the reputation of Ruai Pavilion. The man who kicked Su Fan out of the organization had been demoted to a small world by the top leaders of Ruai Pavilion. Su Fan chatted with Qin Yu for a few more words, and then put away the Jade Talisman of Ruai Pavilion. Su Fan sat cross-legged there inside secretly. The days to come will not be so easy. After all, the people who will come to hunt him down in the future are all big men in the fusion realm. A few months later, Qin Yu's offline came to the coordinates provided by Su Fan, and he was received by a ghost general. The other party took the video from the ghost general and returned to Kiwifang City. Another month later, the video of Su Fan building the Jingwen Human Bone Tower in the netherworld began to spread in various medium-sized worlds. Those who doubted Su Fan at the beginning now have nothing to say. Moreover, these videos were sold well in various medium-sized worlds through the operation of Ruai Pavilion, and Su Fan made a fortune again. At this time, Su Fan was moving deeper into the netherworld. Now he has come to a large mountain. According to the map, this is also a famous place in the underworld. Legend has it that the endless mountains opposite were originally the sphere of influence of a super demon sect called Black Corpse Temple. The ruins of the Black Corpse Temple are also a place that many demon monks like to explore. Although this place has been turned over countless times, many demon cultivators still come here to explore every year. Therefore, there are several footholds in this mountain. Among them, the several market towns built by the demon sect are relatively large and occupy the best location. The fifth-class cultivators like Su Fan cannot enter. However, in some relatively remote areas around, there are also some mountain strongholds built by underground organizations, which accept the fifth-class cultivators to settle down. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.